Chapter 235. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Naylan Fei no longer insisted. The merit of killing the Blood Wyrm King was indeed very important to her. When will you be free to come to my place? The birth of a peak master disciple, especially one who has mastered Saint-Tier astral chi, is a major event worthy of celebration for the entire Hunyuan heaven sect. In particular, on the day I establish the peak, I'll be able to invite all my friends and family to attend. I hope you'll be there as well. Of course, I won't miss such a critical moment. When? I have now completely consolidated my cultivation base, but the preparation work has already been done. It will take more than 10 days to send out the invitation, so the final celebration banquet is scheduled for a month later. I will definitely be there. Naylan Fei smiled and nodded. The Life Moon Alliance has even killed the Blood Wyrm King. Is this the trend of unifying the overseas? However, the stronger your faction is, the greater the influence of the Hunyuan Heaven sect will be, and the more benefits I can obtain as a peak master disciple. I will now report your Life Moon Alliance to the higher-ups. Can you give me a list of your Life Moon Alliance's core members? Of course, give me a day. I will help you organize it in a day. Good, when this list is submitted, you will have the status of an outer member of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Although you will not be able to obtain the core cultivation techniques of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, if you make contributions, you will be able to come into contact with the second-tier cultivation techniques and exchange them for resources from the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Also, from now on, you will not have to worry when you walk in the territory of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. The Hunyuan Heaven sect has been famous for a long time. I finally have the opportunity to visit the Hunyuan Heaven sect. I can't wait. In fact, with your current status as the leader of the Life Moon Alliance, if you really want to join the Hunyuan Heaven sect, you will most likely become a Hall Master immediately. The Hunyuan Heaven sect will also welcome you with open arms. Forget about joining the Hunyuan Heaven sect. I don't want to become a chess piece of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Although there is competition within the Hunyuan Heaven sect, it's not as dark as you think. However, I understand what you mean. Don't worry, although you'll be joining my mountain, I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. Even if the Hunyuan Heaven sect directly orders you, I'll find a way to refuse. Tsing Hui smiled and nodded. Well then, we'll meet again when the time comes. If I want to develop this mountain to a certain scale, I'll definitely have to rely on you, the leader of the Life Alliance. Hence, I've named my new mountain Qinglan Mountain. Qinglan Peak. Tsing Hui was slightly stunned. Yes, when the time comes, you'll have to bring enough people to support me. Although I've recruited many followers during this period, they're only at the true Qi stage and the ordinary spirit refining stage. Currently, the strongest people under me are only the elders of the Naylan family. Those elders are arrogant, and I can't command them as I wish. When you bring the experts of the Life Moon Alliance and make them realize that I don't need to rely on their strength, they'll naturally become obedient. Since you value my Life Moon Alliance so much, I naturally can't lose face for you. Don't worry, when the time comes, I'll learn about the past of these people. I'll bring those who don't have any grudges with the Hunyuan Heaven sect to support you. Now that you mention it, I can't wait for that day. 1 month, not too long. Tsing Hui smiled. After the discussion, Tsing Hui cut off the communication with Naylan Fei. At the same time, he found Ling Yu and asked her to collect a list of names that could be reported. This list was different from the list of members of the Life Moon Alliance. The people on the list couldn't have any direct conflicts with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Otherwise, it would easily bring trouble to Naylan Fei. In order to minimize these troubles, he could only let those who weren't suitable to enter the mainland stay overseas. Ling Yu was extremely efficient. In less than half a day, the two lists were handed to Tsing Hui at the same time. In the two lists, the people on one of the lists didn't have any grudges with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Even the conflicts with other sacred sects weren't worth mentioning. They were either born and raised overseas or had offended the Create-Evolve mysterious sect. For the Hunyuan Heaven sect, their background could be considered clean. On the list, there were 34 Unity of Spirit stage experts and 3 Blue Netherworld stage experts. They were the Master of the Moon Lake, Yu Xianchen, Ten Sha of Gojoseon, Sua Xiao, and the Zhu Luo Divine Mother. Although the remaining people on the list had some grudges with the Hunyuan Heaven sect, they were basically small conflicts that could be brushed aside. For example, they had killed the followers of a certain true disciple or elder, but they had not caused any direct harm to the true disciples or core members of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. For such small conflicts, the Hunyuan Heaven sect would not pursue the matter because of the other party's status as a Spirit Chi Unity stage expert. There were 104 experts in the Syncretic Spirit and Chi realm and 6 in the Blue Netherworld realm. Lord Zhenhai was one of them. Tsing Hui selected for a while and only added the first list. But in addition to the others on the list, he also added Lord Zhenhai's name. After all, although his Life Moon Alliance had defeated the Hall of Blood and subdued Lord Zhenhai, their reputation was still far from being comparable to Lord Zhenhai and Lord Blood Flood Dragon. These two giants were existences that the 10 great sacred sects had tried to recruit or kill decades ago. With Lord Zhenhai's name, once Nalan Fei's Qinglan Peak was established, its reputation would immediately not be inferior to any of the deputy sect masters of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Tsing Hui handed the list to Nalan Fei. When Nalan Fei saw Lord Zhenhai's name on the list, she was also shocked. It was only at this moment that she truly understood Tsing Hui's great influence overseas. To him, unifying the overseas was no longer an empty promise. Alliance Master, we're here. Half a day later, Spiritual Master Tian Peng's careful voice sounded beside Tsing Hui. As Tsing Hui looked around, a shabby-looking palace appeared on the large island in front of him. Seeing the palace, Tsing Hui couldn't help but be a little astonished. This is the headquarters of the Hall of Blood? Spiritual Master Tian Peng naturally knew why Tsing Hui was so astonished. He immediately said awkwardly, Alliance Master, you may not know, but the headquarters of the Hall of Blood has to move every once in a while. The reason for the move is either to offend the nearby top vicious beasts or an unexpected disaster similar to the tsunami a few months ago. If we build it so luxuriously every time, the Hall of Blood really doesn't have the resources to waste. Tsing Hui couldn't help but be enlightened. The Hall of Blood still has a headquarters. It is said that Lord Zhenhai's headquarters is actually a large battleship that has been modified. It's just that the battleship is like a palace and is used as the headquarters. Tsing Hui nodded. From the looks of it, it really wasn't easy for humans to survive near the outer seas. Even Lord Zhenhai and King Blood Wirm were living so miserably. It was no wonder that the cultivators within 60,000 kilometers of the inner seas accounted for more than 90% of all the cultivators in the entire overseas. Spiritual Master Tian Peng had clearly sent a message to Yin Yu beforehand, informing him of the outcome of King Blood Wirm's attack on the Life Moon Alliance. Therefore, when the group arrived at the headquarters of the Hall of Blood that had been built for less than a few months, Yin Yu had already brought the remaining experts of the Hall of Blood to the plaza, trembling with fear. Seeing Tsing Hui arrive, Yin Yu hurriedly brought everyone forward and bowed respectfully to Tsing Hui. Sinner Yin Yu greets the Alliance Master. Alright, as long as you are loyal and devoted to the Life Moon Alliance from now on and put the interests of the Life Moon Alliance as the most important thing, I will not pursue your past mistakes. Thank you, Alliance Master. Yin Yu and the other experts of the Hall of Blood Wirm heaved a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Tsing Hui was about to unify the entire overseas. If they didn't take this opportunity to submit to Tsing Hui, once the overseas completely became Tsing Hui's backyard, they would no longer have a foothold. Alliance Master, please follow me. I will bring you to the King Blood Wirm's treasure room. Spiritual Master Tian Peng led the way respectfully. Tsing Hui nodded and followed Spiritual Master Tian Peng. Soon, they stepped into the interior of the Hall of Blood. After some twists and turns, they finally appeared in an iron box made entirely of adamantine ore. The box was 6 meters tall, 10 meters long, and more than 4 meters wide. The space inside could be said to be extremely large. Putting everything else aside, just the amount of adamantine ore alone would not be inferior to an upper-grade Tier 5 divine weapon if sold. However, the King Blood Wyrm actually used it as a treasure room. We don't have the key to the treasure room. The treasure room was personally made by a refinement master and is 1 meter thick. Even a green netherworld realm expert with a Tier 6 divine weapon would not be able to break it. However, for the Alliance master who has a Tier 9 divine weapon, it is not a problem at all. Spiritual Master Tian Peng explained respectfully at the side. Xing Hui nodded. He drew out his divine sword and slashed down. Accompanied by bursting flames, the extremely sturdy adamantine treasure room was cut open like tofu. As Xing Hui stepped into the room, the Chaos Divine Palace immediately sent out a series of notifications. Xing Hui had a faint look of joy. According to the Chaos Divine Palace's instructions, he quickly collected all the items that carried Dao in the treasure room. After calculating, it was actually worth 22 Dao auras, which was already enough for him to buy another Tier 9 defensive armor. In addition to these, there were some scattered materials, divine weapons, and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. These items were accumulated by the King Blood Wyrm after decades of dominating the sea. Their value was extraordinary and could be compared to an upper-grade Tier 6 divine weapon. However, it was a pity that these items were not worth mentioning compared to Xing Hui who could go shopping in the infinite region. He just kept them as a reward for his subordinates in the future. Good. Tian Peng, I am very satisfied with these items. The Life League has always been generous with rewards for those who have made contributions. Although these treasures belong to the King Blood Wyrm should be considered as my spoils of war, you brought me here to ensure that these items are intact. Naturally, I have to express my gratitude. You have awakened the bloodline of Tian Peng. As Qing Su said that, he directly took out a claw weapon that had reached the low grade of the 6th class. This is my reward for you. Spiritual Master Tian Peng was pleasantly surprised when he saw Xing Hui take out such a treasure. Thank you, Alliance Master. Thank you for your generous gift. From today onwards, Tian Peng will definitely repay the Alliance Master's trust and kindness with his life. Xing Hui smiled and nodded. Seeing that Spiritual Master Tian Peng had only brought Xing Hui to the King Blood Wyrm's treasure room and received such a generous reward, Yu's heart warmed. After a moment, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly said, by the way, Alliance Master, the King Blood Wyrm's treasures are not limited to these. In addition to these, when he killed a green netherworld stage expert of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, he obtained a dragon beard root from the green netherworld stage expert and wanted to cultivate it into a tree. I know where he planted it. Chapter 236. Dragon beard root. You mean dragon beard root? Xing Hui's figure flickered and appeared in front of Yu. It's the dragon beard root that can strengthen one's physique. Seeing Qing Su's reaction, Yu immediately understood that she had made the right bet. She no longer dared to hide anything. The Blood Serpent King planted this dragon beard root on a medium-sized island less than 6,000 kilometers away from us and nurtured it. I don't know what method he used, but he actually managed to nurture the dragon beard root successfully, turning it into a Longyan tree. Bring me there immediately. Yes. Yu respectfully replied and was about to summon her flying sword. You're in charge of controlling my sacred winged draconic eagle. After speaking, he glanced at Spiritual Master Tian Peng. I'll leave the matter of moving the Hall of Blood to Moon Lake Island to you. Spiritual Master Tian Peng was already satisfied with the rank 6 divine weapon that Xing Hui had given him. He naturally did not dare to go against his orders, rest assured, Alliance leader. In less than half a month, the core facilities of the Hall of Blood will all be moved to Moon Lake Island. Only an empty shell will be left here. Good. Xing Hui nodded. Yu controlled the sacred winged draconic eagle and headed straight to the island 6,000 kilometers away. After 10 hours, a medium-sized island with a diameter of over 400 kilometers gradually appeared in Xing Hui's vision. Looking at the island, Yu quickly introduced, Alliance leader, there is a dense forest on this island. In the forest, there is a tripod lizard tribe. The strongest of them is at the Qin Ming realm while the weakest is at the spirit refining realm. Moreover, their numbers are huge. Even Qin Ming realm cultivators would not stay on this island if there is no need. The Blood Flood Dragon King planted the Longyan tree on this island. It's extremely difficult to grow a dragon yen tree with the dragon beard root. Even the Hunyuan Heaven sect, one of the 10 great sacred sects, only has one dragon yen tree. They have tried to plant a second dragon yen tree more than a dozen times, but all of them failed. How did the Blood Dragon King use the dragon beard root to grow a dragon yen tree? This. I really don't know. Even the Blood Wyrm King himself doesn't know why he was able to plant the dragon whisker root. He guessed that it should be related to the special environment here. Environment? Qin Su glanced around, but he really could not tell what was different about the surroundings. The most precious material of the Longyan tree was its roots, the Longyan root. This root contained mysterious and powerful energy. Anyone who could use it as medicine would be able to strengthen and refine their body. Usually, the stronger the body's endurance, the better the strengthening and refining effect. Although cultivators mainly cultivated true qi, once their physical body became stronger, their capacity for true qi would increase, and it could also slightly improve a person's cultivation aptitude. It was because of this that the Hunyuan Heaven sect valued the dragon beard root so much that they never sold it to outsiders. In the past, there was someone on the black market who urgently needed the dragon beard root and offered a high-grade 6th-grade divine weapon, but he still couldn't obtain it. Of course, this didn't mean that the dragon beard root was worth a high-grade 6th-grade divine weapon, but it indirectly proved that the Hunyuan Heaven sect had a monopoly on this treasure. Alliance Master, we have to go on foot. Otherwise, if we are discovered, we will inevitably be attacked by these water lizards. The Blood Wyrm King has already figured out the range of activity of the most powerful water lizards on this island. As long as we avoid these top water lizards, we won't have to worry about danger. Yu cautiously said. It's just Cyan Netherworld stage water lizards. Why are you so cautious? Alliance Master, you must not underestimate these water lizards. Although these water lizards are not strong, they are numerous. According to our preliminary estimates, there are more than 300,000 water lizards on the island. Among them, there are more than 1/1,000 water lizards at the Cyan Netherworld realm, which is about 300 of them. Once we are surrounded by these water lizards, 300 to 400 Cyan Netherworld realm water lizards will swarm us. In addition to the tens of thousands of rank for ordinary water lizards, even a prominent saint expert would be exhausted to death. 300 to 400, when Xing Hui heard this, although he was confident that he could charge out of the encirclement of 300 to 400 water lizards, he didn't want to go through too much trouble. At that moment, the two of them quickly shuttled back and forth on the island. It was impossible not to encounter any water lizards along the way. These lizards were only 2 meters tall and 6 meters long. They were covered in scales and had fleshy wings on their backs. Their defense and speed were quite astonishing. Unfortunately, in front of Xing Hui's flying sword, these lizards didn't even have time to scream before they were shot to death by his sword. After spending less than half an hour shuttling back and forth on the island for more than 40 kilometers, the two of them quickly stopped in a rather hidden valley. The valley's environment was slightly dry and there were almost no water lizards around. This was also the reason why the Blood Wyrm King planted the dragon beard roots here. It really is the dragon beard tree. Tsing Hui looked at the 2-meter-tall tree and couldn't help but reveal a trace of joy on his face. It wasn't easy for the dragon beard tree to grow. The roots of a 2-meter-tall dragon beard tree must be very developed. If it was dug out and dissected, it wouldn't be difficult to get more than 10 dragon beard roots. Have you ever tried to transplant this dragon beard tree? Yes, but in less than 3 days, this dragon beard tree showed signs of withering. Yu said. Tsing Hui's eyes lingered on the dragon beard tree for a while. Finally, he said, a 2-meter-tall dragon beard tree. If we dig out 5 dragon beard roots, it shouldn't wither. Go, dig it out. Yes. Yu was not displeased with Qing Su's orders at all. She quickly went up and dug the soil to one side very soon, revealing the roots of the Longyan tree. The roots were densely packed, rooted in the soil. Qing Su estimated with a single glance that there were enough roots to split into 14 to 16 portions of Longyan roots. Soon, Yu dug out 5 dragon beard roots and rearranged the soil at the same time. The real value of the dragon beard roots should be comparable to that of an upper-grade level 5 magic weapon. If it was auctioned, it might be sold as an upper-grade level 6 magic weapon. As for the mysterious person in the black market who wanted to buy it with an upper-grade level 6 magic weapon, it was a special case. Very good, Yu. You've done a great service. Tell me, what reward do you want? Tsing Hui said with a smile as he put the 5 dragon beard roots that Yu respectfully handed over into his personal space. If possible, this subordinate earnestly requests the Alliance Master to bestow this subordinate with a lower grade level 5 flying sword. Yu cautiously put forward her request. A lower grade level 5 flying sword. This request surprised Tsing Hui. A 4th grade level 4 flying sword is fine too, no need. Tsing Hui waved his hand and took out a 5th grade level 5 flying sword. Try it and see if it suits your chi attribute. Thank you, Alliance Master. Yu hurriedly thanked Tsing Hui and took the flying sword. She injected her chi and the flying sword immediately revolved around her. Feeling the flexibility of the flying sword, Yu's eyes widened in surprise. This is a 5th grade level 5 flying sword. Not bad. The contribution you've made is worthy of being bestowed with a high-grade 5th grade flying sword. Thank you, Alliance Master. Yu is willing to be at your beck and call to repay the Alliance Master's kindness. You just need to take good care of this dragon beard tree. With a 5th grade level 5 flying sword, you won't be in danger even if you're blocked by a few blue netherworld realm water lizards. After all, although water lizards have the ability to fly, they aren't good at it. A 5th grade level 5 flying sword speed is enough for you to shake them off. Don't worry, Alliance Master. This subordinate won't let this dragon beard tree suffer any damage. Well, I see that although your cultivation has reached the Green Hell realm, you have exhausted your potential due to your pursuit of cultivation speed. However, as long as you take good care of this Longyan tree, I may be able to bestow you with a chaos formula in the future, allowing you to become the son of chaos and awaken the innate talent of the Yu bloodline, helping you to step into the prominent divine stage in the future. Yes, this subordinate will definitely treat this dragon beard tree as my life. If there's any damage to it, I'm willing to offer my head. Tsing Hui nodded in satisfaction. Needless to say, the dragon beard root was an unexpected gain. After obtaining the dragon beard root, Tsing Hui immediately contacted Green Lotus Sword Sex Wen Hui through the Chaos Shrine when he returned to the Life League. Seeing Tsing Hui, Wen Hui was obviously a little unnatural. After all, he had been captured alive by Tsing Hui not long ago. However, after a short while, he seemed to have thought of something and said with a smile, I heard that Alliance Master Tsing Hui has already begun to unify the overseas region. Congratulations. With Alliance Master Tsing Hui's ability, the entire overseas region will be yours as long as you take action. By then, our eastern wilderness will definitely become an overlord force that isn't inferior to Wanxiang City, Alchemy Valley, and Heaven Medicine League. It's not difficult to unify the overseas region. The difficult part is that the 10 great sacred sects will be eyeing us after we've grown stronger. Xing Hui also smiled, compared to Vice Sect Master Wen Hui, I, as the Alliance Master of the Life League, am actually like a rootless duckweed. I don't know when I'll be targeted by the experts of the 10 sacred sects, and my great foundation will be destroyed overnight. Alliance Master Xing Hui, you're too humble. Currently, the Life League has hundreds of spirit and chi uniting experts, and a few green hell realm experts. How can a mere vice sect master like me compare to such power? Wen Hui waved his hand slightly and went straight to the point. May I know why Alliance Master Xing Hui has contacted me this time? Indeed, there's something that I need your help with. I want to refine a medicine, and I need sword jades. The Green Lotus Sword Sect's Green Lotus Divine Sword will definitely produce sword jades. Vice Sect Master Wen Hui, please do me a favor. Sword jades. Wen Hui was slightly startled, and then immediately put on a troubled expression. It is extremely difficult to produce a sword jade, even if our Green Lotus Sword Sect's Green Lotus Divine Sword is a level 10 divine armament, it is still not easy to produce a sword jade, a lower level 6 defensive armor. Xing Hui said indifferently. Immediately, the troubled expression on Wen Hui's face abruptly disappeared. Wen Hui hesitated for only a moment before he came to a decision. A lower level 6 defensive armor and a lower level 6 divine weapon. I know that a lower level 6 divine weapon is nothing to Alliance Master Xing Hui. Deal. 1 month later, Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Peak Master level true disciple, Nalan Fei, will be holding a Peak Master assembly. I hope that Vice Sect Master Wen can attend. Our deal can be carried out at that time. Wen Hui had already investigated Xing Hui's identity and background, and naturally knew of his relationship with Nalan Fei. He agreed to his request with a smile. Since Alliance Master Xing Hui has spoken, how can I, Wen Hui, not come? I must have a good chat with Alliance Master Xing Hui. Okay, I'll be waiting for Vice Sect Master Wen at Hunyuan Heaven Sect. With Qingfeng's crippled hand speed, I'm afraid I won't be able to do anything for the 6th chapter today, but it doesn't matter. Today is Tuesday, let Qingfeng rest and recover his strength. Saturday and Sunday, will continue. After many years of silence, it's time for the sword cultivators of the Great Sword Alliance to show their true skills. Chapter 237. Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect had always been at the top of the second tier. Over the years, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect had accumulated a deep foundation. However, due to the restrictions placed on them by the Limitless Sword Sect and the Creation Mysterious Gate, they had never been able to experience a true explosive development. But more than a year ago, Shadow Sword had sent an envoy to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The envoy passed the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's assessment to join Shadow Sword, and became close to Shadow Sword, one of the 10 great chaos forces. The foundation that the Hunyuan Heaven Sect had accumulated over the years could finally be put to good use, and the Hunyuan Heaven Sect welcomed an unprecedented explosion of power. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect distributed hundreds of Daoist rhythms that had been accumulated over countless years. Although the divine weapons exchanged for these Daoist rhythms could only be calculated according to the prices of the Eastern Wilderness, they still brought great returns to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Top divine weapons, treasures, armor, and flying swords were quickly transported to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, causing the overall strength of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect to soar. It was said that several Supreme Elders of Immortal Level 6 had broken through in just over a year. As for the ordinary Elders, Peak Masters, and Palace Masters, there were hundreds of them who had broken through. Nalan Fei and Yuan Kong were among the hundreds of people who had broken through. As everyone divided and used the resources exchanged for by the hundreds of Dao charms, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect had completely left the second tier behind and gradually stepped into the first tier. Although they were still inferior to the Limitless Sword Sect, they had a significant advantage over the Shinshao Sword Sect, the 6 God and Demon Paths, and the Qianquan Sacred Land. Under such circumstances, the Hunyuan heaven sect's breadth of mind and boldness was naturally no longer limited to the previous cities and lands. At this moment, in the Hunyuan heaven sect's sect master's study, a dignified middle-aged man with a mysterious aura was flipping through an application. There was a faint smile on his calm face. If Nalan Fei were here, she would immediately recognize that the middle-aged man before her was the sect master of the Hunyuan heaven sect, one of the 10 great sacred sects, Zhuo Kunlun. He was the sect master of the Hunyuan heaven sect, one of the 10 great sacred sections. Jieshu, Zhongguang, take a look. Zhuo Kunlun placed the application on the desk in front of him. Immediately, an old man at the peak of the blue netherworld realm stepped forward and took the application. He handed it over to Jiasu, who was a high-level son of chaos. After Jiasu finished reading the information, he passed it to Bei Zhongguang, who was the most promising candidate to become sect master among the many deputy sect masters in the Hunyuan heaven sect. This is Junior Sister Nalan. Junior Sister Nalan is really capable. Many of the constructions on Qinglan Peak have yet to be completed, but she has already recruited such a huge force. I've heard of the Life League, which is very famous overseas. It's comparable to the Hall of Blood River established by the Blood Dragon King in his heyday, and the Zhenhai Divine Court established by Lord Zhenhai. After Jiasu and Bei Zhongguang finished reading the application, they were slightly surprised, but they didn't lose their composure. Chasing after the Blood River Hall and the sea-suppressing divine court that the Blood Dragon King established at his peak. Hunyuan Heaven Sect Master Zhuo Kunlun shook his head when he saw their gazes. He said to the Peak Green Netherworld Stage Elder beside him, Su Chen, bring me the other set of information. Yes. Without needing Zhuo Kunlun's instructions, Su Chen already knew which set of information he was talking about. He immediately rummaged through the bookcase behind him, and a set of information was handed over to Jiasu and Bei Zhongguang. As Jiasu and Bei Zhongguang finished reading the information, their originally calm expressions gradually turned solemn. I've heard of the Life League, and I only know that they have a lot of influence overseas. It is said that they have a faint tendency to unify the East Sea. But because the Life League has only been established for a short period of time, I didn't pay much attention to them. I didn't expect them to have developed to such an extent in just a few years. 169 Spirit and Qi Uniting Stage Experts. 14 Blue Netherworld Experts. Almost half of the forces in the entire overseas are included in them. Bei Zhongguang was secretly shocked. The Life League has developed to such an extent. It's really unbelievable. Don't tell me that the two overlords of the sea, the Blood Dragon King and Lord Zhenhai, just watched them develop. Jiasu's brows were tightly knitted together. Zhuo Kunlun looked at the two and couldn't help but shake his head. Bei Zhongguang, I remember that you've already roped in more than 20 forces, including more than 100 Spirit and Qi Uniting Stage Experts. You even have 10 Blue Netherworld Stage Experts working for you. Even the many hall masters and elders in the sect are close to you. When Bei Zhongguang heard Zhuo Kunlun's words, he immediately humbly replied, this is all the elders, hall masters, and friends showing Zhongguang respect. Zhuo Kunlun's gaze fell on Jiasu again. During this period of time, your forces have also developed quite a bit. It is said that you've even established a small chaos organization. Especially after you've advanced to the Blue Netherworld stage, there were even Grand Elders who suggested to me whether we should begin to determine the future successor of the sect master. Zhuo Kunlun's words made Bei Zhongguang's heart clench slightly, while a faint joy appeared on Jiasu's face. It's all thanks to the sect master and the elders' love that Jiasu was able to reach this step. If the sect master and the elders hadn't stood their ground and given Jiasu a nature fruit and a Kuan scale, allowing Jiasu to comprehend the various mysteries contained within the Kuan scale after swallowing the nature fruit, Jiasu most likely wouldn't have reached the Blue Netherworld stage so quickly. You're a high-level son of chaos, and your cultivation has already reached the Blue Netherworld stage. You're also the only person in our Hunyuan Heaven sect who has cultivated divine-grade astral qi. Logically speaking, the position of sect master should belong to you, but... Zhuo Kunlun shook his head slightly. Your vision is too narrow, or rather, your ambition is too high. Apart from the 10 great sacred sects, you don't put any other heroes in your eyes. Zhuo Kunlun's words made Jie Su panic. He hurriedly said, Sect Master, please instruct us. During this period of time, the creative of mysterious sect and the Jin Wu religion have been in constant conflict, and all the disciples have been in the Jin Wu religion region on behalf of our Hunyuan heaven sect. As a result, we neglected our understanding of other aspects. If we've made a mistake, please instruct us. Seeing Jie Su being reprimanded by the sect master, Bei Zhongguang was secretly happy. Although the pressure on him had increased greatly after Jie Su had reached the blue netherworld stage, as long as Jie Su hadn't become the sect master of the Hunyuan heaven sect, he still had hope of stepping onto the supreme throne. Your respective forces aren't small. Go back and properly investigate the Life Moon Alliance. Zhuo Kunlun didn't elaborate and just waved his hand. Bei Zhongguang and Jie Su exchanged a glance and understood that the problem was with the Life Moon Alliance. They bowed and left the sect master's study, and immediately sent people to investigate the Life Moon Alliance in detail. Sect master seems to be very dissatisfied with Zhongguang and Jie Su. The two little guys are so scared that they're very nervous. Not long after Bei Zhongguang and Jie Su left, a man and a woman walked over from the reception room behind the study with a smile. Elder Yuanhe, Elder Qin Ran. Zhuo Kunlun nodded slightly at the two. To be able to make him, the sect master of the Hunyuan heaven sect, personally nod his head, these two elders were naturally not ordinary elders, but supreme elders who had cultivated to the pinnacle of the immortality stage and could manifest the saint body. Sect master, your requirements for these two little guys are too high. Not to mention Zhongguang, but Jie Su, who has cultivated for less than 60 years, has cultivated divine-grade aura qi, and can enter the blue netherworld stage, is already extremely extraordinary. His future is limitless. At the very least, he won't be inferior to us. As for Zhongguang, although he is nearly 100 years old, the force he has built up over the years is not small. If he joins our Hunyuan heaven sect, our foundation will be much stronger. Force. Limitless future. Zhuo Kunlun shook his head and directly handed the information that belonged to the Life Moon Alliance to the two elders. Elders, take a look. This is also the reason why I called the two elders over. Yuan He and Qin Zhen perused the information that Zhuo Kunlun handed over. A moment later, their expressions turned grave. The Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance, Tsing Hui, is really a top figure. I have fought with the Blood Wirm King before. I don't know where he got the opportunity to raise his chaotic level to the 10th stage. With the help of the divine art, even I couldn't take him down. Instead, he escaped and killed several juniors of our Hunyuan heaven sect. King Zhenhai. Chou Tsinghui actually subdued King Zhenhai. Compared to the tyrannical and reckless Blood Wirm King, King Zhenhai is more rational and difficult to deal with. Chou Tsinghui can subdue him, his strength must at least be at the level where King Zhenhai's divine art can't do anything to him. Otherwise, even if King Zhenhai subdued him, when he has the divine art, he will definitely wait for an opportunity to betray the Life Moon Alliance. After the two exclaimed, their gazes finally fell on sect master Zhuo Kunlun at the same time. Who is this Chou Tsinghui? Why haven't I heard of such a great expert who is comparable to the prominent saint stage in our eastern wilderness? Chou Tsinghui is indeed very amazing. Especially when I went to learn about his growth experience, I was even more shocked. It is said that Chou Tsinghui is not only a high-level son of chaos, but also a Duan Su. He has cultivated divine-grade Gang Qi and stepped into the Azure Nether stage. His battle strength is not weaker than any of the supreme elders of our Hunyuan heaven sect. Hiss. Yuan He and Qin Zhen gasped. Which old man's disciple is he? He has cultivated divine-grade Gang Qi. And to the Azure Nether stage? If he can cultivate a divine-grade battle body, won't he soar to the sky? Disciple. If he's just a disciple, it'll be easier to deal with him. The problem is that Chua Qingshu is only 23 years old. As soon as these words came out, Yuan He and Qin Zhen's faces changed greatly. Sect Master, is what you said true? He actually. Zhuo Kunlun nodded his head with a solemn expression. Before he was 18 years old, his cultivation was mediocre. He was like an ordinary person. However, for some unknown reason, he suddenly erupted. In just a few years, he cultivated his vital energy. After he went overseas, his cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. In just a few years, he managed to establish the Life Alliance's great foundation. He has also stepped into the green underworld realm. Before the age of 18, his cultivation was mediocre. Sect Master, you're saying that he used 5 years to cultivate divine-grade Gang Qi and step into the Azure Nether stage? Zhuo Kunlun nodded. When I first saw his information, I thought that he had obtained the inheritance of a high-level or even top-level son of chaos by chance. But later, the inheritance of a top-level son of chaos is inexplicable. Perhaps, as the Life Alliance's rumors say, he is actually the reincarnation of a powerful being. After being muddle-headed for 18 years, he finally awakened at the age of 18. Chapter 238. The Reincarnation of a Great Expert. Yuan He's eyes widened. Is there really such a thing as reincarnation? That's impossible. I've also been in the Chaos Temple, but I've never heard of anyone being able to reincarnate. Even the supreme experts of the saint stage are no exception. At most, they use the miraculous resurrection art to bring the dead back to life. Qin Zhen also had a look of disbelief on her face. There's no smoke without fire. Although we've never heard of reincarnation, it doesn't mean that such people don't exist. Just like in the Eastern Wasteland, there are no legends of the saint stage, but in Heaven Wasteland, saint stage experts do exist. Perhaps it's impossible to reincarnate with human strength, but don't forget about the Chaos Temple. Who knows what abilities the 35th stage of the Chaos stage has? Who knows if the Chaos Treasure Pavilion has a treasure that can keep one's true spirit from being destroyed and allow one to reincarnate? Hearing the sect master mention the Son of Chaos and the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Yuan He and Qin Zhen didn't know how to respond. The Son of Chaos was a miracle in itself. Divine arts, divine protection, resurrection, and other divine arts far exceeded the imagination of cultivators like them. In addition, there were countless treasures in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Although the treasures that could be exchanged for were only reset once a year, it was very rare for the same treasures to appear. Who knew if there would be a new treasure that could keep one's true spirit from being destroyed and allow one to be reincarnated? Then sect master means. From the current situation, the Life Moon Alliance doesn't seem to have any hostility towards our Hunyuan Heaven sect. Not only that, but because of our Hunyuan Heaven sect's true disciple Nalan Fei, he is willing to join our Hunyuan Heaven sect by relying on the Qinglan Peak established by Nalan Fei and become an outer member of our Hunyuan Heaven sect. As such, we should make a good plan. Yuan He wore a thoughtful look. All the benefits on the mainland have been distributed. If our Hunyuan Heaven sect wants to expand again, we can only plunder territory from the other sacred sections. But this way, we will inevitably have conflicts with the other sacred sections. If we want to develop steadily, the only place we can develop is overseas. The Create Evolve Mysterious sect has always been managing overseas. Currently, they have built no less than 30,000 Gate of Fortune overseas. Moreover, they are still building several Gate of Fortune every year. If we develop our overseas forces, I'm afraid we will have to face the Create Evolve Mysterious sect directly. Qin Zhen, on the other hand, had some concerns. The Hunyuan Heavenly sect did not share a border with the Create Evolve Mystical sect. Hence, although there was competition between the two sects, it had yet to reach the point where one of them had to die. Once the two forces did share a border, there would definitely be endless conflict. Overseas is indeed the future direction of development. With the Life-Moon Alliance, we already have an advantage over the other sections. If we want to truly bring the Life-Moon Alliance into our hands, the key is their alliance master, Cho Tsing-Hui. This is easy. As long as our Hunyuan Heaven sect offers him certain benefits to recruit him, I believe he will not refuse. If I'm not wrong, Cho Tsing-Hui will also be recommended to join Sky Dome. Don't forget, he has cultivated divine-grade astral chi. Sky Dome, Yuan. He frowned, but moments later, he coldly said, so what if it's Heaven Xiong? Our Hunyuan Heaven sect is currently a member of Sword Shadow, and we may not be afraid of Heaven Xiong. One should know that in terms of foundation and potential, our Sword Shadow is above Heaven Xiong in terms of combat ability. Sky Dome only accepted divine-grade astral chi cultivators. As for the Sword Shadow sect, only those who had reached the saint stage were qualified to join. The target audience of the two was different, so their foundation and foundation naturally could not be compared. That may be the case, but this does not mean that we should provoke a colossus like Sky Dome for no reason. Moreover, the possibility that Cho Tsing-Hui is the reincarnation of a great expert is extremely small, but what if, he is actually a reincarnation of a great expert? If we rashly offend him, once he recovers his cultivation and soars to new heights, it will not be a good thing for our entire Hunyuan Heaven sect. Zhuo Kunlun's words made the two elders fall into deep thought. In other words, we should focus on appeasing him. Zhuo Kunlun smiled and nodded. I plan to open another hall. This hall will be called the Sea Calming Hall, and it will be responsible for managing overseas affairs. Nalan Fei will also be the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Nalan Fei is only a true disciple of the Spirit Chi Unity stage. How can she be the hall master? Yuan. He originally wanted to refuse, but a moment later, he seemed to think of something, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Sect Master wants to use Nalan Fei as a cover to indirectly control overseas affairs. Nalan Fei is the hall master, but she cannot leave the comfortable environment of our Hunyuan Heaven sect and go overseas. Then, there is only one person who can take on the role of the first deputy hall master. Cho Tsing-Hui. This is a good idea. This way, we can slowly observe and see if Cho Tsing-Hui is related to a great expert. Secondly, we can openly manage overseas affairs. Thirdly, we can also pave the way for the future development of our Hunyuan Heaven sect. Exactly. As expected of Sect Master, we will do as you say. Yes, the only problem is the Jin Wu religion and the Green Lotus Sword sect. The existence of the Create Evolve Mystical sect has separated the Sea region into the East Sea and the West Sea. In the East Sea, the only ones who own the Sea region are the Create Evolve Mystical sect, the Jin Wu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword sect. As for the West Sea, it is beyond our reach for the time being. Therefore, as long as we can convince the Jin Wu religion and the Green Lotus Sword sect not to attack the Sea Calming Hall, things will be much easier. The remaining Qiankuan sacred land and the 6 paths of God and demons are all inland sections. Even if they want to manage overseas affairs, they are powerless. This is easy to handle. I will make a trip. The Jin Wu religion is currently facing a severe attack from the Create Evolve Mystical sect and can barely fend for themselves. It is said that every Law Emperor level figure does not dare to go out easily without the eternal blazing Sunday. The Green Lotus Sword sect, on the other hand, is more than enough to defend themselves and cannot be considered a threat. It is great that Elder Yuanhe is willing to personally make a trip. Speaking of the Jin Wu religion and the Create Evolve Mystical sect, we cannot let the Create Evolve Mystical sect deal a heavy blow to the Jin Wu religion. Once the Jin Wu religion is forced to withdraw their defensive line or even be destroyed by the Create Evolve Mystical sect, we will have to face the Hunyuan Heaven sect directly. At that time, we will be in trouble. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect has only joined the Shadow Sword sect for a short time and our foundation is still too shallow. We are not ready to face the creative mystical sect. We understand. The Jinwu religion cannot have any problems in the next 3 to 5 years. If we want to deal a heavy blow to its vitality, we will have to completely digest the resources we exchanged from the Shadow Sword sect. Exactly. Swa Kunlun smiled and nodded. Full Moon Palace. Tsing Hui was operating a set of fist techniques that only mortal martial artists could use in the courtyard, fully displaying the pure power in his body. After a while, he frowned slightly, faintly dissatisfied. It seems that the Dragon Beard Root's effect is not satisfactory because I have released my physical body too many times. In the morning, he had already consumed a body refining powder refined from the Dragon Beard Root. He wanted to use the medicinal power of the Dragon Beard Root to refine his body and strengthen his meridians. Unfortunately, the Dragon Beard Root, which was very effective for ordinary people, was not enough for him. Although there was an effect, it was only 1/3 of the normal effect. Although the effect is ordinary, the medicinal power of the Dragon Beard Root can be continuously stacked. If I can obtain enough Dragon Beard Root, it may be possible to continue to increase my physical strength. Tsing Hui smiled. The strength of physical strength was not very useful in the cultivation world where genuine qi was rampant. Take Tsing Hui for example. By releasing his physical body layer by layer, his physical strength was not weaker than that of a genuine qi expert. In addition, his cultivation had increased, and the qi of heaven and earth constantly washed his body, allowing him to fight against ordinary gang qi with his bare hands. However, compared to the power of genuine qi, this level of physical strength was not worth mentioning at all. Even if he released his physical body another 8 or 10 times, he would still die in the face of a green netherworld realm red sun gang qi. Refining the body could make the meridians tougher, have a higher tolerance, and be more malleable. However, the benefits brought by treasures of the same value could not be compared to the benefits of cultivating genuine qi. Alliance Leader. Tsing Hui stretched his body a little, and Ling Yu had already stepped into the courtyard with a smile. Just now, another genuine qi realm cultivator from Sapphire Island brought a Dao-carrying item with 2 Dao-carrying aura and exchanged it for a middle-grade level 5 divine weapon. Since we started offering anonymous exchanges, there have been more than 10 ordinary cultivators with Dao-carrying items in the past 10 days. Very good. Tsing Hui also smiled. Including the Dao-carrying aura from the Blood Dragon King and Lord Zhenhai, the total number of Dao-carrying aura I have obtained in less than a month has exceeded 100. It has reached 101. With the 2 Dao-carrying aura today, it will be 103. Congratulations, Alliance Leader. Congratulations. However, I'm afraid that the Dao-carrying aura stored overseas has been used up after my round of plundering. In the next 10 years, the total amount of Dao-carrying aura I can obtain will probably not exceed the amount I obtained in a month. If I want to obtain more Dao-carrying aura, I have to continue expanding my territory. Continue expanding your territory? Ling Yu was slightly taken aback. She then said hesitantly, 1/3 of the entire outer sea is currently controlled by Ri Yiming. If we want to expand, there are only 2 options. One is to expand into the outer sea, and the other is to continue occupying other sea regions. However, if we continue to occupy other sea regions, we will definitely have to face the Eastern Wilderness No. 1 sect, the creative mystical sect. With our current strength, if we dare to provoke such a colossus, the consequences will be unimaginable. 2 options. No. I think there's a third option, and that is the inland. A strange look flashed across Tsing Hui's eyes. If I'm not wrong, the Jinwu religion in the inland seems to be in a difficult situation recently. Which one will be Tsing Hui's first target? Chapter 239. The Jinwu religion situation was indeed as Tsing Hui had guessed. Ever since Tsing Hui had disguised himself as an expert from the Jin Wu religion and destroyed the Fortune Gate on Flying Snow Island, ruining the Fortune Gate's plan to enter the East Sea, the Fortune Gate had become extremely jealous of the Jin Wu religion. The Fortune Gate could be said to be invincible in the eastern wilderness. Even though the Limitless Sword Sect, Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Hunyuan Sacred Land, Jin Wu Religion, Green Lotus Sword Sect, and other forces had secretly formed an alliance to resist the Fortune Gate, they were still at a disadvantage. The Fortune Gate's Green Netherworld and Vision Saint experts were almost comparable to the 9 great sects combined. Such a powerful force had lost face in front of the Jin Wu religion. How could the Fortune Gate be willing to accept this? In addition, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect had joined the Shadow Sword Sect, one of the 10 great chaos organizations, and had received a lot of funding from the Shadow Sword Sect. If they waited for 3 to 5 years to digest all the resources, the sect's power would definitely soar. At that time, they would be a great threat to the Limitless Sword Sect. However, the Fortune Gate did not share a border with the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. If they wanted to invade the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and suppress the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, they would have to pass through the Jin Wu religion or the Limitless Sword Sect. The Limitless Sword Sect was a tough nut to crack, and the Fortune Gate knew this. As such, they could only focus their attention on the Jin Wu religion. After more than a year, the Jin Wu religion had suffered heavy losses under the Fortune Gate's attacks. Even with the Limitless Sword Sect and Hunyuan Sacred Land secretly supporting them, the Jin Wu religion still found it difficult to breathe. They had lost dozens of law kings and elders. 3 months ago, one of the 14 Grand Elders had died, causing the entire Jin Wu religion to mourn. Today, a new piece of bad news once again enveloped the entire Jin Wu religion. Elder Qi Huang, in a magnificent meeting hall of the Jin Wu religion, Lai Wuyang's beautiful face was filled with sorrow. Qi Huang was the backer of Lai Wuyang and Law King Lai Ji. He was a Grand Elder who had cultivated to the late Vision Saint stage. Not only could he manifest his saint body, but he could also manifest his saint body for 4 times longer than a new stage Vision Saint stage cultivator. The death of such a Grand Elder was a heavy blow to the entire Jin Wu religion. At this moment, not only Lai Wuyang, but the other Dharma kings and supreme elders of the Golden Crow sect were also gathered here. At a glance, there were more than 100 law kings and Jin Wu religion experts present. In addition to the 6 Grand Elders present, as well as the Jin Wu religion's leader Zhu Xian, who was also at the Vision Saint stage, there were a lot of talents present. At the very least, the life alliance that Tsing Hui had formed after unifying the overseas regions could not compare to them. However, the meeting hall of the Jin Wu religion was filled with a sunset atmosphere. Our spies from the Jin Wu religion have already received news from the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. I'm afraid that the Create Evolve Mysterious sect really wants to completely destroy our Jin Wu religion to intimidate the other sacred sects. In these past few years, the alliance led by the Limitless Sword sect against the Create Evolve Mysterious sect has grown stronger. Especially when the Hunyuan Heaven sect joined the Shadow Sword sect not long ago, the Create Evolve Mysterious sect felt a great threat. Once the Hunyuan Heaven sect develops to a level that is not inferior to the Limitless Sword sect, the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's obvious advantage over the other sacred sects will be completely destroyed. At that time, their sovereign status will be shaken. Therefore, the Create Evolve Mysterious sect must kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Zhu Xian said in a deep voice, "Unfortunately, our Jin Wu religion has become the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's first target." The Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Limitless Sword sect, and the Hunyuan Holy Land have no other reaction. Are they just going to watch as our Jin Wu religion is continuously eaten away? Vice Sect Master Luo Rieo stood up with a sorrowful expression. The Limitless Sword sect wants to, but they are powerless. In order to prevent the Limitless Sword sect from assisting the Jin Wu religion, the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's Taoist Tian Ding, Taoist Golden Cicada, and 6 Grand Elders have personally come to the Burial Sword Terrace. Taoist Tian Ding. Taoist Golden Cicada. The crowd burst into an uproar when they heard Zhu Xian's words. Just like the divine dragon list overseas, there was also a list in the Eastern Wilderness. The Eastern Wilderness named it the Eastern Wilderness List. The list listed the top figures in the entire Tianhuang region. Daoist Tian Ding was ranked second on the list, second only to the lifeless sword master of the Limitless Sword sect. In addition, Daoist Golden Cicada was also ranked 8th on the list. Although he was ranked 8th, no ordinary saint stage expert could underestimate him. Even if the Limitless Sword sect had always been the main force against the Create Evolve Mysterious sect, they still had to be extremely vigilant when facing these two top figures and 6 saint stage experts personally. We can't count on the Limitless Sword sect, so we can only ask the Hunyuan Heaven sect for help. We only hope that the Hunyuan Heaven sect can provide us with enough help. If the Hunyuan Heaven sect's primordial chaos saint, who is ranked 4th on the Eastern Wilderness list, is willing to help. Impossible. Zhu Xian shook his head. Although the Shinshao Sword sect also belongs to the camp against the Create Evolve Mysterious sect, they have been fighting with the Hunyuan Heaven sect for a long time. If the primordial chaos saint really dares to help, the Shinshao Sword sect's primordial chaos saint will definitely collude with the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's experts to kill him first before plotting against the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. This is also the reason why the Create Evolve Mysterious sect has been suppressing us to the point where we can barely breathe despite having the advantage in terms of saint stage battle power. Zhu Xian's words made everyone fall silent. Suppressing them, at the end of the day, it was because the 9 great sects were unable to cooperate wholeheartedly. Otherwise, no matter how powerful the Create Evolve Mysterious sect was, it would be difficult for them to withstand the combined might of the 9 great sections. Then what should we do? If this continues, the Jinwu religion will face the risk of being destroyed. Many elders were deeply worried. We can't count on the Limitless Sword sect for the time being, so we can only place our hopes on the Hunyuan Heaven sect. If we only ask for help, the Hunyuan Heaven sect may not sincerely send enough experts to rescue us. However, if the Jinwu religion shows enough sincerity, before Zhu Xian could finish, a Grand Elder coldly snorted. Sect Master, the Hunyuan Heaven sect also has wild ambitions. They are eyeing our Jinwu religion like a tiger eyeing its prey. Do they really want the Jinwu religion and the Create Evolve Mysterious sect to suffer great losses so that they can swallow our Jinwu religion in one fell swoop and become a top faction on par with the Limitless Sword sect? I understand. Therefore, we can make use of the Hunyuan Heaven sect's ambition towards our Jinwu religion and ask them to help us resist the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. Sect Master, what do you plan to do? The gazes of all the Grand Elders and Vice Sect Masters landed on Sect Master Zhu Xian. Everyone should know that the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Hunyuan son, Jiasu, has broken through to the Green Netherworld stage not long ago, right? That's right. A Grand Elder nodded. Jiasu is a heaven's pride that the Hunyuan Heaven sect has poured countless efforts into nurturing. Not only has he cultivated divine-grade astral chi, but he's also a high-level son of chaos. Now that he's reached the Green Netherworld stage, his battle power is not much inferior to us old fellows. It's said that he has already received the support of several saint stage ancestors. It's likely that such a Hunyuan Heaven sect successor is foreseeable. Although the Hunyuan Heaven sect hasn't officially announced this news due to Jian Ying's matter, I estimate that it won't be long before this day comes. Sect Master, you mean? Zhu Xian's gaze swept past the Grand Elders and Vice Sect Masters to land on Lai Wuyang. The Hunyuan Heaven sect wants to annex our Jinwu religion, so we'll give them the chance. If we're talking about disciples with unlimited potential who have cultivated divine-grade astral chi, our Jinwu religion also has them. Zhu Xian's gaze also attracted the attention of all the elders. Some of the more quick-witted ones immediately thought of something. Sect Master, you mean, a marriage alliance? That's right. Let Wuyang and Jiasu have a marriage alliance. Not long ago, Wuyang obtained a treasure that raised her primal chaos level to the 9th level. Let's lend her a helping hand and give her the Tao-carrying items that the cult has accumulated, allowing her to become a high-level son of chaos with the bloodline of the Golden Crow and a cultivation base in the realm of unity of divine and Qi. With these identities, no one will doubt us when we promote her to a vice cult master. Vice sect master Luo Rieo, who was most likely to inherit the Jin Wu religion's sect master throne, immediately reacted. Sect master, you mean to let the Hunyuan heaven sect think that our Jin Wu religion intends to fully support Saintess Wuyang to become the future sect master, and then let her marry Jia Su? If the Hunyuan heaven sect wants to annex our Jin Wu religion, they will definitely support our Jin Wu religion through Saintess Wuyang to fight against the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. This way, they won't have to worry about the backlash caused by their plan to annex our Jin Wu religion. That's right. Between a Jin Wu religion that has suffered heavy losses and a Jin Wu religion that can peacefully develop in their hands, the Hunyuan Heaven sect will definitely choose the latter without hesitation. Zhu Xian said. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately nodded in agreement. Obviously, they approved of Zhu Xian's plan. This matter depends on whether Wuyang is willing or not. Zhu Xian's gaze fell on Lai Wuyang. Unwillingness flashed across Lai Wuyang's face, but she still stepped forward and lowered her head to hide her pain. I'm willing to follow sect master's orders. Good. Zhu Xian nodded heavily when he saw Lai Wuyang agree. I've wronged you. Don't worry, our Jin Wu religion will definitely not treat you unfairly in the future. Sect master, in fact, Jia Su will annex the Jin Wu religion through Wuyang. Why can't Wuyang use Hunyuan Heaven sect through Jia Su? You should know that since ancient times, even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. Wuyang is the most outstanding disciple of our Jin Wu religion. If we can bewitch Jia Su, the future sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and make him listen to us, perhaps. A hall master stepped forward and suggested. His words made the eyes of the various elders and hall masters light up. Although this method is rather difficult, it does not mean that there is no hope. Everything will depend on Wuyang's methods. Zhu Xian stared at Lai Wuyang as he spoke. There's no time to lose. We'll send someone to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Our sect will give you the greatest support. Wuyang, although this matter is rather difficult, whether our Jin Wu religion can maintain its vitality under the attack of the Create Evolve Mysterious sect or even use the Hunyuan Heaven sect will depend on your methods. Yes. Lai Wuyang lowered her head and responded. Seeing Lai Wuyang's downcast mood, Law King Lai Ji could only console her. Jia Su is young, but he has already cultivated divine-grade astral qi to the Qingming stage. In addition, he has the identity of a high-level son of chaos. He is the most outstanding young genius of our eastern wilderness. The marriage between the two of you will not be a disgrace to you. The most outstanding young genius? Hearing her father's words, for some reason, the little thief who had repeatedly forced her to snatch the great sun Golden Crow art from her appeared in her mind. If they were talking about the most outstanding young genius, that little thief was likely even better than Jia Su, right? Chapter 240. Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Guest Reception Peak. An old man with a cultivation base of the blue underworld stage was leading several deacon-level figures of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect to wait at the airport. Along the way, many disciples and deacons of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect were slightly stunned when they saw this scene. They bowed to the old man from afar and then quickly retreated. The deputy hall master of the guest reception hall, Lord Yuzhen, personally came to welcome us. Could it be that some big shot is coming to our Hunyuan Heaven sect? For disciples, 2 men and 2 women, who had just returned, gathered together and looked at hall master Yuzhen who was quietly waiting for them. Their hearts were full of curiosity. Yun Bai, your master, Lord Lin Songyun, is the favorite of Peak Master Xianyu. He must be well informed. Have you heard of anything important happening in our Hunyuan Heaven sect today? A young and lively girl with a ponytail asked a pair of brother and sister who looked quite similar. Xiao Yu, it's not like you don't know. We are only one of the 40 disciples under Master. We haven't even entered the awakening realm. How can we have too much time to serve Master? This kind of news is related to the whole Master level. How can we know? The male disciple, Yunbai, shook his head. Speaking of big events, the biggest thing in our Hunyuan Heaven sect should be Senior Sister Nalan's peak ceremony. Senior Sister Nalan is really a legendary figure in our Hunyuan Heaven sect. She has only been in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for 20 years, but she has cultivated from an ordinary person to the Spirit Chi unification realm. At her current age, her future is bound to be limitless. As long as she can enter the Blue Underworld stage as soon as possible and become the Deputy Sect Master of our Hunyuan Heaven sect, there is a great hope for her to compete for the Sect Master's throne. Another male disciple said with a tone of envy. It's a pity that our cultivation base is too weak. We haven't even reached the awakening realm. We don't even have the qualifications to rely on Senior Sister Nalan. Otherwise, we would take advantage of this opportunity to join Senior Sister Nalan. After Senior Sister Nalan soars into the sky, the benefits we get are simply immeasurable. Xiao Yu was also regretful. It is said that half a month ago Senior Sister Zhui Yunqing had cultivated her true energy. Moreover, it is rare that she has cultivated wholly true energy. She has begun to recruit people with the support of Senior Sister Nalan in order to prepare for the future. We are all leaders of the blood transformation realm. Xiao Yu and Hunyuan, both of you have undergone blood transformation twice, so your chances of awakening your bloodline have greatly increased. If you join Senior Sister Zhui Yunqing, then she will give you some treasures as rewards to help you awaken your bloodline and enter the immortal realm. You will be able to enjoy endless glory and wealth. The man's face was full of excitement as he spoke. Hunyuan and Xiao Yu were also restless. Junior brother Tan Bo, what you said makes sense. Senior Sister Nalan was also a true energy cultivator when she was not famous. She also stepped into the spirit refining realm and was valued by Senior Sister Nalan. Now that we have joined Senior Sister Zhui Yunqing, maybe in the future we will be like Senior Sister Lan Yu, who joined Senior Sister Nalan and become influential figures in the sect. Yes, the opportunity cannot be missed. Let's not delay any longer. The four of them discussed for a while and turned to leave. At this moment, Yu Zhen, the guest welcoming hall master who had been quietly waiting, seemed to have finally seen the person he had been waiting for. He couldn't help but lean forward slightly. At the same time, at the end of the sky, a huge void battleship was rapidly approaching. Under the leadership of an elder who was flying on a sword, it landed at the center of the square. As the battleship approached, many disciples and deacons of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect couldn't help but exclaim, "What a huge battleship!" This battleship is 200 meters long and 50 meters tall. It's almost the same size as a palace. In our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, except for the Grand Elders, even the Deputy Sect Master level figures don't necessarily have such an amazing honor. Could it be that a Grand Elder of another sacred sect has come to pay a visit? Hunyuan, Yunbai, Xiao Yu, and the others, who had originally planned to leave, were also attracted by the large battleship. The value of the most ordinary battleship is comparable to a rank 3 divine weapon. This battleship is so big and magnificent. If it was exchanged for a rank 3 divine weapon, it would be worth hundreds or thousands. Heavens, if someone is willing to give me a rank 3 divine weapon, I will do anything. Such a luxurious battleship has arrived. It must be a real big shot. No wonder even the guest hall master Yu Zhen personally came. I just don't know what kind of expert has come. The four people discussed incessantly. At the same time, they craned their necks to look at the battleship. None of them wanted to miss such a lively scene. A moment later, a group of people finally came down from the giant battleship to open a path and quickly stood guard on both sides. These people all had powerful chi and extraordinary auras. In particular, the two guard captains at the front had divine light flowing in their eyes. Some of the more knowledgeable Hunyuan heavenly sect deacons and disciples exclaimed, "It's a spirit and chi unity stage expert." A spirit and chi unity stage expert can only open a path as a guard. Where did this big shot come from? Look at the emblem on the battleship. It doesn't belong to any of the 10 great sacred sections. It doesn't even belong to Wanxiang City, Heavenly Medicine Alliance, Alchemy Valley, Martial God Tower, or other factions. What a grand display! Even our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's Hall Master level figures can't compare to this. No wonder Hall Master Yuzhen personally came to greet them. All kinds of exclamations and discussions rang out. Amidst the crowd's exclamations, a young man in green clothes came down from the battleship under the protection of 4 men and women with extraordinary auras. Immediately, Yuzhen stepped forward and warmly conversed with the 5 of them. Looking at the 5 people who came down from the battleship, especially the leader of the 5, Hunyuan, who was chatting with Xiao Yu and the others, seemed to have recognized him. Her eyes suddenly widened. "Brother, look at that person. Doesn't that person look like Cho Tsing-hui from Cloud Desolate City's Zhuo family who made a big mistake and fled overseas?" Cho Tsing-hui. Yunyun's words made Yunbai slightly startled. His eyes immediately sized up the man in green clothes. A moment later, his eyes also revealed astonishment. "It really looks like him. But this person is definitely not Cho Tsing-hui. Cho Tsing-hui offended our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's core disciple. It is said that he fled overseas and might have died overseas. What kind of character is this green-clothed young master in front of us? To be able to make Hall Master Yuzhen personally come to greet him, how could Cho Tsing-hui have such ability?" But according to the news from Luo Lin Kingdom, Cho Tsing-hui had returned to Luo Lin Kingdom a few years ago and brought a few experts with him. Among them, there was no lack of spirit-refining cultivators. It can be seen that he is doing extremely well overseas. Could it be? Before Yunyun finished speaking, she was interrupted by Yunbai. "How could it be? Didn't you hear the shouts of the other senior brothers and deacons? Those who are responsible for opening the way are all elders of the spirit and chi unity realm. Even if Cho Tsing-hui is doing well overseas, how could he command the elders of the spirit and chi unity realm? And even let them pave the way for him like subordinates? How could it be? Cho Tsing-hui. I think I've heard of this person before. Isn't he Zhuo Qingshu, the one who caused a commotion between Senior Sister Nailin and Elder Zhuri after Lan Yutong stole his entry token and joined Elder Zhuri? It is that Cho Tsing-hui. Impossible. According to the storm caused by this matter, Cho Tsing-hui should be at the level of an ordinary mortal a few years ago. In just a few years, he can actually make the spirit and chi unity realm experts pave the way for him. Could it be that he has become the last disciple of one of the 10 great sacred sects patriarchs? Xiao Yu saw that everyone was guessing and said directly, "If you want to figure out whether this Cho Tsing-hui is that Cho Tsing-hui, it is not easy. Let's follow and see. If he came for Senior Sister Nailin's peak assembly, he must be that Cho Tsing-hui. If not, then it can only be that the two look similar and recognized the wrong person." "Yes, yes, yes, let's follow and see," Yunyun echoed, and at the same time, her tone was a little excited. "If it is really that Cho Tsing-hui, strictly speaking, we have traveled with him in the past," but she couldn't help but think of the past when she traveled with Cho Tsing-hui. However, when she thought of the final result of this past, her flaunting heart stopped abruptly. But what? Xiao Yu and others were listening, but the result was that there was no follow-up, so they couldn't help but ask. "Nothing, nothing, let's follow and see." Yunyun shook her head quickly. Yunbai on the side naturally understood the reason why Yunyun's words stopped abruptly just now. For a moment, she couldn't help but secretly regret. Especially when she thought of Cho Tsing-hui's prestige a few years ago when he returned to the Lorraine Kingdom with many true chi and spirit refining masters, she was even more annoyed. If they knew that Cho Tsing-hui was so promising, when he was chased by Yuan Yang sent by Erisher Yudo, they should have listened to Yun Tong and protected Cho Tsing Hui. With such a life-saving grace, after Cho Tsing Hui soared, their Yun family would naturally follow suit. It wouldn't be difficult for them to develop into the #1 family in the Lorraine Kingdom. Unfortunately, now it was too late to say anything. Tsing Hui didn't know that when he led the elites of the Life League into the Hunyuan Heaven sect, he would meet a few acquaintances on this welcoming peak. However, even if he knew acquaintances like Yun Yun and Yun Bai, he wouldn't go over to greet them. The Cloud Forest Towers fleet gave him a ride, and after he paid the fare, the two sides no longer had anything to do with each other. At this time, he was led by Yu Zhen to the Hunyuan peak in the center of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. There, the sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Zhuo Kunlun, would personally summon him, the leader of the Life League from overseas. Chapter 241. The sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect was definitely one of the most powerful figures in the entire eastern wilderness. Although the Hunyuan Heaven sect still had a few saint experts, they spent most of their time on cultivation. Some of them were even thinking of ways to go to the Heaven Wasteland domain and create a broader future for themselves, so they had no time to care about other things. Under such circumstances, the power of the Hunyuan Heaven sect master could be said to be vast and mighty. To be personally received by such a person who stood at the pinnacle of the eastern wilderness cultivation world was sufficient proof that after many years of growth, Tsing Hui had already reached the pinnacle of the eastern wilderness cultivation world. Although he was currently at the bottom of the pinnacle, he firmly believed that one day, he would also be able to stand at the pinnacle of the eastern wilderness and enjoy its scenery. Sect Master, Alliance Master Tsing Hui has arrived. As Yu Zhen led the way, a magnificent and majestic reception hall filled with a sacred atmosphere appeared before their eyes. In addition to the Hunyuan Heaven sect masters Zhuo Kunlun, there were more than a dozen hall masters in the reception hall. In addition, there were 2 grand elders who were personally accompanying them. They were Yuan He and Qin Zhen. The two had originally planned to go to the Jin Wu religion to provide assistance, but not long ago, they heard that the Jin Wu religion wanted to send their saintess Lai Wuyang to the Hunyuan Heaven sect through marriage. They were no longer in a hurry and patiently waited. In addition, sect masters Zhuo Kunlun held the Alliance Master of the Life Alliance in high regard, so the two of them also attended the welcome banquet out of curiosity, which raised the scale of the banquet to a whole new level. In addition to the 2 grand elders, only Nailan Fei, who was at the spirit and qi unification stage, also attracted Tsing Hui's attention. He did not expect Nailan Fei to attend the banquet. Greetings, Sect Master. Under Yu Zhen's lead, Tsing Hui and the others stood in the middle of the hall and bowed slightly to Zhuo Kunlun at the head seat. Ha ha ha, Alliance Master Tsing Hui has traveled thousands of miles to come here. It must have been a tiring journey. Please take a seat. There was a faint smile on Zhuo Kunlun's face. He gestured with his hand and a disciple came forward to bring Tsing Hui and the others to a seat at the side. Tsing Hui was second only to the 2 highest elders and Zhuo Kunlun. Below him was Lord Zhenhai, who was at the late stage of the Green Realm. As for the Moon Lake Master, Ten Sha of Gojoseon, and Zoluo Holy Mother, they were slightly inferior and were added to the middle seats. From the arrangement of the seats, it could be seen that Zhuo Kunlun valued Tsing Hui greatly. With Alliance leader Tsing Hui joining our Hunyuan Heaven sect, we will be like a tiger that has grown wings. Although Alliance leader Tsing Hui joined our Hunyuan Heaven sect by joining Nailan's Qinglan Peak, given Alliance leader Tsing Hui's qualifications and cultivation, if he doesn't hold any position in our Hunyuan Heaven sect, I'm afraid our Hunyuan Heaven sect will be laughed at by the world. Therefore, after discussing with the elders, we have decided to establish a new hall in our Hunyuan Heaven sect, called the Sea Calming Hall, to resist overseas threats. Sea Calming Hall. Tsing Hui secretly exchanged a glance with Nailan Fei. Both of them could guess Zhuo Kunlun's plan. Yes, the Sea Calming Hall. My original intention was to appoint Alliance leader Tsing Hui as the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall. However, considering that Alliance leader Tsing Hui came to join Nalan, I can't overstep my authority and make Alliance leader Tsing Hui the Master of the Sea Calming Hall. Therefore, Alliance leader Tsing Hui will temporarily be appointed as the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall. What do you think? Nalan Fei immediately guessed that the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect wanted to use her to control the Life Moon Alliance. She was the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall. Once the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect assigned a task, if the Life Moon Alliance failed, the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect would hold her responsible. On the other hand, if Tsing Hui was the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall, if the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect wanted to punish him for failing a task, Tsing Hui could just resign from the position and continue to wander overseas. With the many sea beasts forming a natural barrier, even if the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect was dissatisfied with him, they would not dare to send troops to suppress him. Nalan Fei, who did not want Tsing Hui to be controlled by others, was about to stand up and refuse when Tsing Hui cupped his hands together and said, "I am indebted to Sect Master's trust. I am willing to be the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall and guard the outer seas for the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect against the invasion of the sea beasts." Good. Zhuo Kunlun was also very happy to hear Tsing Hui agree so quickly. It was a pleasant surprise for the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect to obtain such a powerful overseas force for no reason. In particular, Lord Zhenhai and Cho Tsing Hui, who could subdue Lord Zhenhai, could be used as prominent saint stage experts at critical moments. Even if the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect was stronger than the Green Lotus Sword Sect, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range and the other sacred sects, the addition of 2 Supreme Elders would still allow the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's power to soar. Since Hall Master Tsing Hui is so straightforward, as the Sect Master, I naturally can't disappoint Hall Master. The Hall Masters in the Hall are in charge of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's resources, cultivation methods and treasures. If Hall Master Tsing Hui needs anything, feel free to ask the Hall Masters in the name of the Hall Master. In addition, every 10 years, the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect will allocate 3,000 spirit crystals worth of resources to the Sea Calming Hall to strengthen the reputation of the Sea Calming Hall. 3,000 spirit crystals. Nalan Fei frowned slightly. Compared to spirit stones, the price of spiritual crystals was naturally much higher. Usually, 20,000 spirit stones could only be exchanged for 1 spiritual crystal. 3,000 spiritual crystals were equivalent to 60 million spirit stones. On the other hand, level 5 divine weapons on the market were around 10 million spirit stones. 3,000 spiritual crystals were equivalent to 6 level 5 divine weapons. In 100 years, the number of level 5 divine weapons accumulated would reach 50, it seemed like a lot, but the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect was not an ordinary force. As a member of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, the Elders and Hall Masters were often equipped with divine weapons that were 1 rank higher than their cultivation. Simply put, spirit refining experts used rank 4 divine weapons, spirit chi uniting experts used rank 5 divine weapons, and green underworld realm hall masters used rank 6 divine weapons. With so many green underworld realm experts in the Sea Calming Hall, it would take at least 500 years for everyone to be equipped with a rank 6 divine weapon. And this was only a single weapon. If armor and flying swords were included, 5,000 years would not be enough. Sect Master, the Sea Calming Hall has just been built, and there are many things waiting to be done. It is time to develop. However, the 3,000 spirit crystals allocated are not enough. These spirit crystals are estimated to not even be enough to exchange for a rank 6 divine weapon in 10 years. Nalan Fei stood up. Since she had already become the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall, she naturally had to fight for the Sea Calming Hall. "And, what you said makes sense. We can't let a Hall Master of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect not have a divine weapon. Nalan, as the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall, I will bestow upon you a high-grade rank 6 divine weapon. As for Tsing Hui, I will bestow upon you a mid-grade rank 6 divine weapon. I hope that you will develop the overseas region well and help our Hunyuan heavenly sect resist the overseas threat. A high-grade rank 6 divine weapon and a mid-grade rank 6 divine weapon were worth around 80,000 to 30,000 spirit crystals on the market. It was definitely a generous gift. An ordinary palace of the Hunyuan heavenly sect would only receive 10 to 20,000 spirit crystals in 10 years. But one must not forget that this was a one-time gift. Compared to the resources allocated once every 10 years, it could not be compared at all. Nalan Fei was about to say something, but Xing Hui had already cupped his hands in acknowledgement. Thank you, Sect Master, for your reward. The Sea Calming Hall will definitely guard the overseas region well for the sect. Good. A smile appeared on Zhou Kunlun's face again when he heard Xing Hui's acknowledgement. He originally thought that he would have to pay more to make the Alliance Master of the Life Alliance settle down, but who would have thought that 2 rank 6 divine weapons would solve the problem? He immediately said, this period of time is both Nalan's Peak Founding Assembly and our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's Hall Building Assembly. It can be said to be a double blessing. The entire sect should celebrate together. Pass down the order that the restrictions on the 36 peaks will be lifted for this month. Any disciple can enter the 36 peaks to choose divine weapons, trade resources, learn cultivation techniques, and do whatever they want. Sect Master is wise. Hearing Zhou Kunlun's words, everyone hurriedly stood up and cupped their hands in acknowledgement. The Hunyuan Heavenly Sect had outer sect disciples, official disciples, and true disciples. Outer sect disciples did not even have the qualifications to enter the 36 peaks to buy divine weapons or read cultivation technique manuals. Only when they made contributions would they be allowed to enter the 36 peaks to learn. After all, many of these resources were prohibited by the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, such as spirit crystals, which were rarely circulated on the market. Now that the 36 peaks were open, as long as the disciples had money, they could exchange for as many resources as they wanted. There was no lack of prohibited items such as spirit crystals. As long as they could exchange for some spirit crystals and resell them in the outside world, they would immediately make double the profit. This was the reason why Zhou Kunlun was so happy to open the 36 peaks. Come, a feast. After the feast, Nalan Fei, who was heading towards Qinglan Peak, found Xing Hui and complained, Xing Hui, the sect master gave us 2 divine weapons. Although it seems to be very valuable, it is in fact far less cost-effective than the resources allocated every year. As far as I know, every palace in the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect receives more than 10,000 spirit crystals each time. In some important palaces, the value of resources allocated each time exceeds 100,000 spirit crystals. 1 resource allocation is enough to buy us 2 divine weapons. These resources are distributed once every 10 years. Perhaps we can fight for the Sea Suppressing Hall to receive 10 to 20,000 spirit crystals each time, but to me, the significance of these resources is not as good as these 2 divine weapons. Why? If we can fight for a quota of 30,000 spirit crystals each time, we can easily buy these 2 divine weapons in 40 years. If we buy according to the sect's internal price, 90,000 spirit crystals would be enough for 30 years. 30 years? Xing Hui shook his head, little one, look at how I was 10 years ago and how I am now. 10 years later, would I still care about a mere 90,000 spirit crystals? Hearing Xing Hui's confident words, Nalan Fei was slightly taken aback. She stared at Xing Hui with a strange look in her eyes. You can't be, as the rumors say, you're the reincarnation of a great being who awakened his memories a few years ago, right? Otherwise, where did you get the confidence to say that you won't care about 90,000 spirit crystals in 10 years? 10 years is not a long time for us cultivators. Little ant, just wait and see when the time comes. Nalan Fei saw that Xing Hui was full of confidence and extraordinary spirit. She then thought of his tremendous growth in just a few years and suddenly felt a sense of confidence in him. She nodded vigorously, well, I'll wait and see. Chapter 242. Qinglan Peak has just been established, so you must have a lot of important things to do. Go ahead, I'll go to the Golden Treasury Hall and the Operation Hall. After Tsinghui finished speaking, he turned to Lord Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Master, and the others behind him and said, "Follow Hall Master Narang." Yes. Lord Zhenhai and the others answered one by one. You're now the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Hall. You can go anywhere in the Hunyuan Heaven sect except for those forbidden places. I don't need to send someone to lead the way for you. Tsinghui smiled slightly. The Hunyuan Heaven sect was different from the Jin Wu religion, the creative all mysterious sect, the giant Dragon Mountain Range, and the Pharaoh sect. Many departments of the Hunyuan Heaven sect were concentrated in the outer 36 peaks, the middle 36 peaks, and the inner 36 peaks. There were a total of 108 peaks. Among them, the outer 36 peaks were open to the public. Not only outer court disciples, even some peddlers could travel between the 36 peaks. The 36 peaks also had some basic functions. However, because the 36 peaks were mainly for ordinary cultivators who had yet to enter the awakening realm and those who had yet to gain the trust of the sect, the functions of these peaks were quite simple. The Golden Palace Hall, Operation Palace Hall, and Bounty Palace Hall only established branches on these peaks. At most, they would send a true Qi realm or spirit refining realm deacon to oversee them. Even elders would not be sent out. The middle 36 peaks were the real core function area of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. The hundreds of departments and palaces of the Hunyuan Heaven sect were all built on the middle 36 peaks. The peak where Zhou Kunlun had just invited Tsinghui and the people of the Life League to a banquet was also one of the middle 36 peaks. Even the small peaks built by many peak master disciples were built around the middle 36 peaks. As for the inner 36 peaks, those who lived on these peaks were, without exception, supreme elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the core existence of the saint stage. Even the hall master and deputy hall masters like Tsinghui could not rashly go there if there was no important matter. The Golden Repository Hall and Operation Hall that Qing Su wanted to go to were both on the 36th peak, and they belonged to the same peak. After getting his bearings slightly, Qing Su leapt up and shot through the air on his sword, heading straight for a mountain less than 50 kilometers away. Standing in the air, he could clearly see the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect. As one of the top sects of the 10 great sacred sects, the Hunyuan Heaven sect's atmosphere was far from what the Life Moon Alliance could compare to. Many disciples, deacons, stewards, and elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect went in and out in an orderly manner. Everyone performed their duties in an orderly manner. Moreover, the entire mountain gate occupied the spiritual veins of heaven and earth, and was blessed by the heavens. The environment was pleasant, and the vital energy was rich. Looking down, it was filled with the atmosphere of an immortal. Even from high up in the sky, Tsinghui could sense the Hunyuan Heaven sect's wealth. Not to mention the many magnificent buildings, just the hundreds of thousands of disciples and deacons wielding divine weapons could be said to be an astronomical figure. Coupled with the various spirit pools and facilities, if the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect was valued, their mountain gate alone would be worth hundreds of millions of spirit crystals. Even if I can really unify the outer seas, it will take decades or even centuries for the Life Moon Alliance to develop to this level. If I want to reach the same level as the Hunyuan Heaven sect, I will only have a glimmer of hope if I include the entire outer seas in my sphere of influence. Tsinghui sighed. Compared to the Hunyuan Heaven sect, which had a deep foundation, the Life Moon Alliance was like a nouveau riche even though it had developed well during this period of time. After looking for a moment, Tsinghui lowered his sword and quickly landed in front of the Golden Treasury Hall. In the Hunyuan Heaven sect, those who could fly on a sword were either core disciples that were highly regarded or elders with considerable authority. Therefore, as soon as Tsinghui arrived, a pure and lovely female disciple in white immediately came up to the entrance of the Golden Treasury Hall. She sized up Tsinghui for a moment before she said, "Senior brother, are you here to exchange for resources?" If you need, can junior sister Yang Yuyu guide you? The Hunyuan Heaven Sect's many palaces also had sales records. The Golden Treasury Hall was, in fact, equivalent to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Chamber of Commerce. It was just that this Chamber of Commerce only sold resources to people of status in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. It was because of this that Yang Yuyu enthusiastically came forward to welcome Xing Hui. Okay, I'm here to exchange for a Spirit Essence Core. Spirit Essence Core. Yang Yuyu was slightly startled, but she still gestured with her hand, Senior brother, please follow me. We naturally have Spirit Pith Cores in Hidden Golden Hall, but only those who are ranked in the top 100 among the core disciples or have the status of an elder are qualified to purchase it. I wonder if junior sister can inspect senior brother's identity token. Xing Hui directly handed the identity token that Yu Zhen had brought over to Yang Yuyu. Yang Yuyu checked it, and when she found out that the young-looking man in front of her was actually a deputy hall master, she hurriedly bowed. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was Hall Master Xing Hui and was disrespectful. I hope Hall Master Xing Hui will forgive me. I'll bring Hall Master Xing Hui to the VIP lounge and ask our hall steward to personally receive you. There's no need for that. Just give me a Spirit Essence Core. Yes, Hall Master. Do you want to exchange sect contribution points for a Spirit Essence Core or Spirit Crystals? How much will Spirit Crystals cost? The Spirit Essence Core has the effect of purifying one's chi, and it's also very effective in purifying one's chi. It's not cheap. If you use Spirit Crystals, it'll cost 30,000 Spirit Crystals. Is a grade 6 intermediate divine weapon enough? Xing Hui directly took out a divine weapon. It's enough. I'll get the Spirit Essence Core for you, Hall Master. Yang Yuyu took the divine weapon and quickly retreated. However, when they returned a moment later, two people had already arrived. She was accompanied by a man who was in his 30s and had a cultivation base at the middle stage of the Green Netherworld realm. When the man saw Xing Hui, he immediately cupped his hands and said, So it's Alliance Master Xing Hui. Oh, it should be Hall Master Xing Hui now. I'm Hall Master Xing Hui's Deputy Hall Master, Tong Gui. Greetings, Hall Master Xing Hui. Earlier, the disciples in the hall didn't know better and miscalculated the price. Hall Masters like Hall Master Xing Hui usually get a 30% discount when they exchange for resources in the Golden Repository Hall. After he finished speaking, the man took a jade plate from Yang Yuyu. There were 90 pieces of excellent quality spiritual crystals and a Spirit Essence Core on it. These are the spiritual crystals for the Grade 6 Intermediate Divine Weapon, Hall Master Xing Hui, and the Spirit Essence Core that Hall Master Xing Hui wants to exchange for. Hall Master Xing Hui, please check. Xing Hui glanced at the Spirit Essence Core with a smile on his face. When Hui had already brought the sword jade and was rushing to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. He had obtained the dragon root from the Blood Dragon King by chance. Now that he had obtained the Spirit Essence Core, he had all the ingredients for the Roaming Dragon Blood Dissipation Elixir. With the Roaming Dragon Blood Dissipation Elixir, he just had to devote some energy to studying the method of transforming his vital energy into virtual energy. When he reached the initial stage of the method of transforming his vital energy into virtual energy, he would be able to consume the Torch Dragon's blood. At that time, his strength would increase tremendously. It wouldn't be difficult for him to reach the peak of the Green Netherworld realm. Compared to the Spirit Quintessence, the 90 pieces of supreme grade spiritual crystals were nothing. However, the 90 pieces of spiritual crystals were ultimately Tong Gui's goodwill. Just like primordial stones, although the exchange rate between high and supreme grade spiritual crystals was 10:1, if one really wanted to exchange them, one would often have to offer an exchange rate of 11:1 or even 12:1. If 90 pieces of supreme grade spiritual crystals were exchanged for ordinary spiritual crystals, it wouldn't be difficult to exchange them for 10,000 spiritual crystals, let alone 10,000 spiritual crystals. Thank you, Hall Master Tong Gui. You're welcome, Hall Master Xing Hui. I heard that the overseas region is rich in resources. I only hope that if Hall Master Tsing Hui has any special resources in the future, Hall Master Tong Gui will first hand them over to Golden Repository Hall so that we can sell them on your behalf. Tsing Hui pondered for a moment. There was indeed a need for channels to buy and sell precious resources overseas. He immediately said, if Hall Master Tong Gui is willing, why don't you send someone to the Life Alliance, to set up a branch hall in the Sea Suppressing Hall? A look of joy immediately appeared on Tong Gui's face. Thank you, Hall Master Tsing Hui. Golden Repository Hall is more than happy to set up a branch hall in the Sea Suppressing Hall. Tong Gui had heard that the Life Moon Alliance had more than a dozen Qingming experts and more than 100 Spirit and Qi Unity experts. As for the Spirit Refining, True Qi, and Awakening experts, they numbered in the tens of thousands. Such a force had been incorporated into a palace by the Hunyuan Heaven sect, but who would dare to treat it as an ordinary palace? If Golden Repository Hall could establish a good relationship with the Sea Suppressing Hall, the potential benefits they could obtain in the future would definitely not be small. After bidding farewell to Golden Repository Hall's Deputy Hall Master Tong Gui, Tsing Hui once again flew on his sword and headed towards the Operations Hall, which was less than 3 kilometers away from Tong Gui Hall. The Operations Hall didn't transfer resources, but manpower. Simply put, the Operations Hall was responsible for transferring personnel and positions in the sect. Tsing Hui landed at the entrance of the Operations Hall and said to a disciple at the entrance, Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Hall, Tsing Hui, requests to see the Operations Hall Master. I have an elder-level personnel transfer that I need your help with. The disciple did not dare to delay when he heard Tsing Hui call himself Hall Master. He hurriedly said, Hall Master Tsing Hui, please wait inside for a moment. I'll inform our Hall Master to come over. Thank you. As Qin Su said that, he followed the disciple to the guest room of the Circulation Hall. The Operations Hall was responsible for the transfer of manpower and naturally had astonishing power. In the Hunyuan Heaven sect it was second only to the Punishment Hall, Truth Repository Hall, Divine Martial Hall and other great halls. It was often a target that any deputy sect master would do their best to rope in. However, the several hall masters of the Operations Hall did not dare to be careless with Tsing Hui's visit. When Zhou Kunlun was planning to build the Sea Calming Palace, he had already revealed the relevant information about the Life League to the upper echelons of the sect. Therefore, they knew very well how powerful the Sea Calming Palace, the predecessor of the Life League, was. Although the Sea Suppressing Hall was inferior to the Operations Hall, which held great authority in the sect, no one dared to offend a deputy hall master who could even subdue King Zhenhai. Less than half a cup of tea's time after Tsing Hui sat down, a deputy hall master came out to welcome him. Hall Master Tsing Hui, I've long heard of your great name. Today, I see that you're indeed extraordinary. I'm Lei Jing, and I'm the deputy hall master of the Operations Hall. Hall Master Lei Jing. Qin Su clasped his hands, I've come this time because I want to ask Hall Master Lei Jing to lend a person to my Sea Suppressing Hall. Oh. May I know which elder has caught the eye of Hall Master Tsing Hui? Li Hua Hall, Elder Jury. Chapter 243. Li Hua Hall's Elder Jury. Lei Jing was slightly stunned. Yes, Elder Jury. Qin Su smiled, Hall Master Lei Jing, you should understand that the overseas seas are not like the inland. We lack resources. If we want to recruit enough experts to strengthen the reputation of our Sea Suppressing Hall, we need to have something that we can offer. Fortunately, there are no precious resources in the overseas seas, but there are plenty of sea beasts and specialties. Elder Jury is skilled in alchemy, so the corpses and specialties of these sea beasts will definitely be able to turn something rotten into something miraculous in the hands of Elder Jury, turning them into peak pills. With these pills, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for our Sea Suppressing Hall to expand our influence and make all the islands in the overseas seas submit to us? This, Hall Master Lei Jing muttered to himself. Tsing Hui was a ferocious figure who could even subdue Lord Zhenhai. As for Lord Zhenhai, in the past, he had once engaged in an intense battle with a Grand Elder of the Creation-Evolution Profound Sect. Even though he was defeated and fled in the end, the fact that he was able to fight a prominent Saint-Stage Grand Elder of the Creation-Evolution Profound Sect without dying fully proved his strength. Lei Jing had to consider Tsing Hui's request carefully. If Hall Master Lei Jing agrees to this, we will not refuse to lend any of our men to the sea-suppressing hall as long as it's not a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. Great! Lei Jing slammed the table heavily when he thought of Lord Zhenhai's ferocious power. Then I will make a trip to Lihua Hall on behalf of Alliance Master Tsing Hui. Hall Master, please go to Qinglong Peak for a while. There will be news in 3 to 5 days. Thank you, Hall Master Lei Jing. Hall Master Tsing Hui is too courteous. The allocation of manpower is the responsibility of the sea-suppressing hall. Lei Jing smiled and cupped his hands. Then I will wait for your good news at Qinglong Peak. Tsing Hui bade farewell to Lei Jing and left the sea-suppressing hall. When Elder Zhuri found out that he was a high-level son of chaos, he hunted him down in every possible way, forcing him to flee overseas. Even when he was overseas, he was still anxious and worried that Yi Shiwen would gang up with other experts to attack Dragon Slaying Island. It was only until Yi Shiwen's cultivation level gradually increased and he reached the realm of unity of spirit and qi that he put down his worries. However, the hatred between the two of them had already been formed. Since Elder Zhuri wanted to kill him and seize his primal chaos grade, he naturally wouldn't let the matter go. However, although it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Elder Zhuri with his current strength, he would undoubtedly offend the Hunyuan Heaven sect if he did so. After all, Elder Zhuri was different from the canon fodder elders recruited by the Hunyuan Heaven sect. He had grown up as a disciple and had a deep foundation in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. The death of such an elder was equivalent to declaring war on the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Unless the Life Moon Alliance grew to a level comparable to the 10 great sacred sects, they absolutely couldn't bear the consequences. Therefore, instead of killing Elder Zhuri with a sword, it was better to use his power as the Deputy Hall Master of the Calming Sea Hall to openly send Elder Zhuri to the Calming Sea Hall. The Calming Sea Hall was the Life Moon Alliance. When Elder Zhuri was in the Life Moon Alliance, wouldn't his death be under his control? Once Elder Zhuri is taken down, Erisher Yuto will be like a rootless duckweed with no one to rely on. Back then, you took advantage of my new arrival and sent Yuan Yang to kill me. Did you ever think that there would be such an ending today? Tsing Hui muttered to himself. After a moment, he turned around again and flew towards Qinglong Peak on his sword. Qinglong Peak was, in fact, only one of the 36 peaks of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Compared to the other peak masters, it wasn't considered a small peak. With the Life Moon Alliance joining Qinglong Peak, the Hunyuan Heaven sect naturally didn't dare to treat Qinglong Peak as an ordinary peak master's true disciple. On the peak, there were 300 courtyards of various sizes and more than a dozen palaces. The courtyards were naturally for the servants and attendants to live in, while the palaces were the real core of Qinglong Peak. Although Nailan Fei had just established Qinglong Peak, she had already built up some forces during her time as a true disciple. In addition, the Wei Hai Kingdom behind Princess Lan Yu had completely surrendered to Nailan Fei. Young elites from the Wei Hai Kingdom were continuously sent from the Wei Hai Kingdom, making Qinglong Peak full of people. In addition to the Nailan family and the Zhuo family, there were currently thousands of people living in Qinglong Peak. The only thing was the cultivation level of the people living in Qinglong Peak was very low. If the Nailan family and the others who had recently fawned over them were excluded, let alone spirit refining cultivators, even true qi cultivators didn't reach more than 10. Tsing Hui flew over on his sword and landed on the square at the top of Qinglong Peak. From his vantage point, he could see more than half of Qinglong Peak in front of his eyes. Naturally, he could see the construction of Qinglong Peak. Lord Tsing Hui. It's really you. As Tsing Hui looked down, a somewhat surprised voice sounded. Tsing Hui turned his head and saw a graceful girl in blue walking over with a face full of joy. When she arrived in front of Tsing Hui, she looked a little nervous and restrained. Greetings to the temple master. You're Lan Yu. True Qi cultivator. Not bad. Qing Su studied the woman a few times and guessed her identity. He immediately smiled and said, "That's right. It's all thanks to Lord's cultivation method and the cultivation resources senior sister Nalan gave me. If not for these, Lan Yu wouldn't have been able to cultivate true Qi in just a few years." Tsing Hui nodded and glanced at the people behind Lan Yu. These people were all from the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Heavenly Works Hall and were responsible for the construction of Qinglan Peak. Hearing Lan Yu call Tsing Hui Temple Master, although these people didn't know which hall Tsing Hui was the Temple Master, they still went up to greet him respectfully. Senior Sister Nalan asked a girl like you to supervise the construction of Qinglan Peak. Tsing Hui was a little puzzled. In our Hunyuan Heaven Sect, the Peak Master disciples have an extremely high degree of freedom and privacy. Once the peak is closed to the public, no one is allowed to go up the mountain except for the sect master and the supreme elder on duty. This is equivalent to a home that belongs completely to us. I'm grateful that Senior Sister Nalan trusts me and entrusted me with the task of building Qinglan Peak. I will do my best to help Senior Sister Nalan complete the checkpoint. Tsing Hui glanced at Lan Yu and quickly guessed something. He immediately snorted, "I'm afraid the Nalan family wants to take over this project." This, before Princess Lan Yu could speak, a loud noise came from not far away. Not long after, a group of more than 10 people quickly came in their direction. Before they arrived, an old man with a spirit refining cultivation took the lead and shouted, "Lan Yu, I already said that the Nalan family will take over the spirit tempering stones used to set up the feng shui pattern. Why do these people from the Heavenly Works Hall still transport the spirit tempering stones from the outside? Can you still do a good job as the overall director? If you can't do a good job, you can resign. Don't affect the construction of Qinglan Peak. Senior Sister, it's not that we don't want to use the spirit tempering stones they transport, but according to Senior Sister Nalan's requirements, the spirit tempering stones must be of high grade. Most of the spirit tempering stones they transport are low grade, and less than 10% of them are high grade. There are even 10 to 20% of them that are of inferior quality. If we really use these spirit tempering stones to set up the feng shui pattern, it won't meet Senior Sister Nalan's requirements." A middle-aged man wearing the robes of the Heavenly Works Hall who followed the old man said with a frown. "Nonsense. Why can't the spirit tempering stones transported by our family be used? This is clearly because your skills are not up to par. There are hundreds of large and small construction teams in the Heavenly Works Hall. Since your team can't do it, then report it to the Heavenly Works Hall and let the Heavenly Works Hall change it. Our family's Nalan is a true disciple of the spirit and Qi unification realm. She is only 40 years old and is expected to be the Deputy Lord in the future. How dare the Heavenly Works Hall treat us so perfunctorily? I will report you to the Heavenly Works Hall," the old man said with a face full of anger. Tsing Hui knew what was going on as soon as he heard it. He didn't even bother to ask who the old man was. He directly said to Lan Yu, "Since Senior Sister Nalan already has a design plan, according to Senior Sister Nalan's design plan, let the construction team of the Heavenly Works Hall work at full speed. Why do you care about what others say? These people are Senior Sister Nalan's family after all. Even Senior Sister Nalan has a headache." Lan Yu said hesitantly. Tsing Hui probably knew what Lan Yu was afraid of. He immediately said, "In a while, I will ask Nalan to let my people be in charge." When the old man saw that Tsing Hui seemed to be leaving the Nalan family aside, and that he looked quite young, he immediately shouted, "Who are you? The construction of our Nalan family's Qinglan Peak doesn't need you to tell us what to do. Where is Senior Sister Nalan?" Tsing Hui didn't even look at the old man and asked directly. Senior Sister Nalan is receiving Lord Zhenhai and the others in the main hall, They don't need Senior Sister Nalan to receive them. After all, those people are famous overseas. Before Princess Lan Yu finished her words, the old man saw that Xing Hui turned a blind eye to him. He immediately became furious and said, "Didn't you hear what I said to you just now? Are you deaf? How dare you be so arrogant on the Qinglan Peak of our Nalan family? Do you have any respect for our Nalan family? Do you have any respect for my niece?" When Xing Hui heard the old man's noisy words, his face immediately turned cold. He shouted in the direction of the main hall not far from here, "Sua Shao." The voice was low and the volume was not loud, but through the genuine qi, it resounded in the main hall in an instant. Suddenly, Sua Shao, who had always thought that Xing Hui's cultivation was mediocre, was shocked. Since Xing Hui killed the Blood Dragon King and showed his unparalleled strength, Sua Shao had been worried that Xing Hui might hold him responsible. He had been anxious all day long. Now that he heard Xing Hui's call, it seemed that there was something he needed to deal with himself. He immediately became spirited and rushed out of the main hall in an instant. He didn't even care about flying on his sword. He swept up the mighty wind and clouds and arrived at Xing Hui's side like lightning. When the Qingming realm powerhouse ran at full speed, the terrifying aura formed an impact that directly shocked Princess Lan Yu, the construction staff of the Tiangong Hall, and the old man of the Nalan family. They couldn't help but retreat. "Sua Shao is here. Alliance Master, please give me your orders. From now on, the construction of Qinglan Peak will be supervised by you. If there is anyone who obstructs the construction, he will be severely punished. If he doesn't change, he will be killed." "Yes, Master." Chapter 244. The aura emitted by a Qingming realm cultivator was terrifying, especially for someone like Sua Shao who lived overseas and fought with others all year round. His baleful aura swept the sky, scaring the Nalan family's spirit-refining realm cultivator to the point that his face turned pale. "You," the elder pointed at Xing Hui. His face was full of fear as if he wanted to accuse him of something. "Ha!" However, before the old man could speak, Sua Zhao's gaze suddenly landed on him, and a suffocating pressure assaulted him. Immediately, the old man, who was already terrified to the extreme, felt as if a primordial ferocious beast's aura of death had swept over him, causing him to be unable to help but retreat repeatedly. He staggered and actually sat on the ground, unable to bear it any longer. "You good for nothing." Sua Shao sneered coldly. The elder was so ashamed that he wished there was a hole in the ground for him to crawl into. The man in front of him was a Qingming realm cultivator, a core member of the Overlord of the Sea, the Life League. They only had a dozen spirit-refining realm cultivators. Although the Nalan family had cultivated a Peak Lord's true disciple, they didn't dare to argue with a Qingming realm cultivator. Therefore, even if Sua Shao reprimanded him, he still didn't dare to say a word. "Xiao! Xiao! Xiao!" Sua Shao rushed over as quickly as he could. Naturally, the other elders and alliance masters of the Life Alliance followed closely behind him. At this moment, King Zhenhai, the master of the Moon Lake, and the Zhu Luo Divine Mother had already appeared before Qing Su. They bowed towards him politely, "Greetings, Alliance Master." "N." Xing Hui responded faintly. He then looked at Nalan Fei who also came out of the hall and said, "During this period of time, you are responsible for maintaining the order of Qinglan Peak. Although there are many things waiting to be done in Qinglan Peak, no one can humiliate it. Whoever dares to be presumptuous in Qinglan Peak will be severely punished." "Yes." Lord Zhenhai, Moon Lake Lord, and Holy Mother Zhu Luo responded at the same time. You are Cho Xing Hui." At this time, the elder seemed to have recognized Xing Hui's identity. He suddenly widened his eyes, especially when he saw Lord Zhenhai, Moon Lake Lord, Holy Mother Zhu Luo, and 10 Sha of Gojoseon, who were all high and mighty Qingming realm cultivators in his mind, respectfully and flatteringly in front of Cho Tsinghui. He couldn't believe it, this. How is this possible? Tsinghui. As soon as Nalan Fei arrived at the scene, she roughly knew what had happened. She immediately apologized, "I'm sorry, the people of the Nalan family are too narrow-minded. Senior sister Nalan, I know you value the affection between family members, but as your Qinglan peak grows more and more prosperous, and even when you become the deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect in the future, there will be more and more cultivators following you, and the family business will grow bigger and bigger. If there are no reasonable rules and regulations, I'm afraid it's not appropriate. You should treat everyone who wants to intervene in the affairs of Qinglan Peak equally according to the rules and regulations. Those who can't accept it are not qualified to enter Qinglan Peak and give orders." "I understand." Nalan Fei nodded. Although she had some followers before, these followers added up to less than 100 people. Even if the forces behind those followers were included, the scale was not worth mentioning. But now she had reached the point where she could establish a peak, and this peak had a behemoth like the Life League, which showed excellent development potential. As a result, it would attract countless experts and forces to join. If she did not plan a reasonable system, it would be easy for problems to arise. Zhuo Xiao used to manage the affairs of the Life League, so I will leave Zhuo Xiao here to manage the trivial matters of Qinglan Peak for you. After Tsinghui finished speaking, his eyes fell on Zhuo Xiao. In the future, you have to treat senior sister Nalan's orders as my orders. Do not violate any of them, do you understand? At this time, Zhuo Xiao had completely abandoned the idea of going against Tsinghui, and was trying to make up for the bad impression left by offending Tsinghui. When he heard that Tsinghui had entrusted him with an important task, even if he was not by his side, he still dared not be careless. With a solemn face, he promised, "Alliance Master can rest assured, even if I have to do my best, I will definitely manage Qinglan Peak well for Palace Master Nalan." "Tsinghui, you are overseas." Seeing that Tsinghui had left a Qingming realm expert to her, Nalan Fei could not help but look at him. Now, although there are still some large and small islands overseas that have not been completely surrendered, the Life League has already formed the general trend. As long as we send experts over, many islands will surrender, and it will only be a matter of time before we completely pacify the overseas. Tsinghui said. Seeing that Tsinghui had his own arrangements, Nalan Fei nodded. But you still have to be careful of the forces behind some forces. As far as I know, except for the giant Dragon Mountain Range and Pharaoh sect, which have no coastline or sea area completely occupied by Create Evolve Mysterious sect, the 10 great sacred sects have supported some chess pieces overseas. It will not be easy for you to completely pacify this sea area. Qing Su smiled, the current Life Alliance is no longer the same as before. If they want to uproot the Life Alliance, they won't be able to do so unless they send 2 or 3 great elders. However, if they really do send 2 or 3 great elders, I'll make it so that none of them will be able to return. I believe any organization would feel heartache if I were to devour 2 or 3 prominent holiness experts in one go. Seeing that Tsinghui was so confident, Nalan Fei nodded and did not say anything more. As a member of the Life League, Tsinghui naturally knew more about the overseas than she did. She was just reminding him. The peak assembly will begin in 3 days. You must have a lot of things to deal with now. If you don't have enough people, just instruct these elders and deacons of the Life League. Now that the Life League has surrendered to Qinglan Peak, you naturally have the right to command them as the Peak Master. Nalan Fei smiled slightly. The manpower of Qinglan Peak is indeed not enough. Originally, the people you brought were all great experts of the Spirit and Qi Unity realm. I was not confident enough to command them, but now that I have your assurance, I am relieved. With their help, the Peak Assembly in 3 days will definitely be held smoothly. Tsinghui nodded. Just as Tsinghui and Nalan Fei were about to say something, there was a burst of gongs and drums from the direction of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's welcoming peak. Guards of honor quickly spread out and drove dragon and tiger carriages to the 36 peaks outside the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Within the welcoming peak, there was a purple glow that filled the air, illuminating the void. On the summit of the welcoming peak, there were countless people activating magical techniques, causing a rain of petals to fall from the welcoming peak. These petals were not ordinary petals, but were composed of pure yuan qi. Anyone who absorbed and refined them would be able to increase their cultivation base. The effect of one petal was not necessarily inferior to that of an ordinary spirit stone. Purple qi from the east, dragon and tiger carriages, a rain of petals. 3 of the 4 greatest ceremonies of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect have been brought out. Could it be that the sect masters of the Jin Wu religion, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, the Pharaoh Sect and the Green Lotus Sword Sect have personally come to visit? Nalan Fei stared at the void for a moment, a little surprised. 4 great ceremonies? Yes, of the 4 great ceremonies that the Hunyuan Heaven Sect uses to welcome guests, the last one is also the most honorable one, which is to welcome guests from 100 miles away. Often, when the deputy sect masters of the 10 great sacred sects come to visit, there will be 1 or 2 ceremonies, while sect masters will have 2 or 3. As for the 4 great ceremonies, only the sect master of the Limitless Sword Sect, the Qinkuan Sacred Land, the 6 Fiend God Paths and other forces will formally present a letter of greeting in person. Even the sect master of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect will travel 100 miles away from the welcoming peak to welcome guests at the gate of the 36 outermost peaks of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. To think that the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect has such etiquette. Why isn't there any etiquette for our Alliance Master's arrival? Even the person in the welcoming hall is only a little deputy hall master. Even the hall master did not personally appear. The Zhu Luo Divine Mother said in a dissatisfied voice when she heard Nalan Fei's words. Lord Zhenhai and the Moon Lake Lord also had the same expression. If the master was humiliated, the servant would die. Although Tsinghui hadn't completely won their loyalty, as long as Tsinghui didn't let them down, they would follow Tsinghui. Tsinghui had officially visited the Hunyuan Heaven Sect as the Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect's reception naturally made Lord Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Lord and the Zhu Luo Divine Mother unhappy. It's just that our Life Moon Alliance doesn't deserve such a great ceremony in the eyes of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Tsinghui said indifferently. The foundation of the 10 great sacred sects was so deep that even the Green Lotus Sword Sect, which was the weakest of the 10 great sacred sects, had 7 Vision Saint stage experts, including the sect master. In particular, the Green Lotus Sword Sect had the Green Lotus Divine Sword. If the great elder Shen Qin activated the Green Lotus Divine Sword with a secret technique and supplemented it with divine might, ordinary saint stage experts wouldn't be able to escape the fate of being killed. Its battle strength was comparable to a second-layer saint stage expert. If the Green Lotus Sword Sect was already like this, there was no need to mention the other sacred sects that were even more powerful than the Green Lotus Sword Sect. On the other hand, even though the Life Alliance had wiped out all the resistance forces in the sea recently, Qing Su was the only person in the alliance who was at the prominent saint realm. Even though King Zhenhai could contend against prominent saint realm experts for a short period of time, he was still no match for prominent saint realm experts once the saint technique was used. He could only be counted as half a prominent saint realm expert. Moreover, the Life Alliance only had a dozen or so blue netherworld experts right now. Compared to the 10 sacred sects that had over 100 blue netherworld experts at once, the difference was huge. Therefore, even if he came personally, his status in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect still couldn't compare to any of the 10 great sacred sects' deputy sect masters. Lord Tsinghui, don't take this matter to heart. The 4 great ceremonies are just empty formality. It is said that when the Wanxiang City Lord paid a formal visit to our Hunyuan Heaven Sect, he only brought a dragon carriage. Princess Bluefeather interjected. Tsinghui shook his head and peered into the void. I wonder which sacred sect is coming. Qinglan Peak was less than 30 kilometers away from the welcome guest peak. With the eyesight of Blue Netherworld stage and Spirit Chi Unity stage experts, it didn't take long for them to clearly see the giant warship at the end of the horizon. Alliance Master, it's the Jin Wu religion. Chapter 245. The Jin Wu religion. Tsing Hui was slightly taken aback. The Jin Wu religion and the Green Lotus Sword sect were the forces that Tsing Hui planned to conquer. He would use either of these two forces to gain a foothold on the mainland and slowly expand. Just like overseas, he would constantly strengthen himself until he swept across the eastern wilderness and controlled it in his hands. He would then borrow the eastern wilderness cultivators to collect Dao vessel items for him. Of these two major sects, the Green Lotus Sword sect's most feared was the Green Lotus Divine Sword. However, Tsing Hui had obtained the Green Lotus Divine Sword technique. As long as he cultivated the sword technique to the highest level, he might be able to surpass the current sword wielder, Shen Qin, and use the Green Lotus Divine Sword technique to suppress the Green Lotus Divine Sword. The only problem was that he had spent most of his energy on cultivating the true Qi Void technique, and his mastery of the sword technique was still shallow. As for the Jin Wu religion, it was much stronger than the Green Lotus Sword sect. However, the Jin Wu religion's vitality had been greatly damaged by the Creation Mystical sect. In addition, Tsing Hui had the Yang Devouring Pearl, a supreme treasure that was immune to all fire-type attacks below stage 6. With this treasure, he would have a unique advantage in conquering the Jin Wu religion. In fact, one day, he would be able to obtain enough Dao runes to exchange for the dazzling Sun Pearl from the sky. The Jin Wu religion, which relied on the eternal blazing sun, would be 80% less threatening. However, the Jin Wu religion was currently visiting the Hunyuan Heaven sect. If the two major sects were forced into an alliance by the Creation Mystical sect, firstly, the Jin Wu religion would gradually be able to resist the Creation Mystical sect's pressure and gain some time to breathe. Secondly, Tsing Hui's Yang Devouring Pearl could not resist the Chaos Hole Sutra. Yu Xianchen, go and find out why the Jin Wu religion is visiting the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Yes. Yu Xianchen acknowledged and quickly left. Let me handle this matter. I am much more familiar with the sect's connections than you. Nalan Fei stepped forward. Tsing Hui thought for a moment and nodded slightly. That's good. Thank you, Senior Sister Nalan. Tsing Hui immediately returned to Qinglan Peak. More than a dozen palaces had been built on Qinglan Peak, one of which was specially allocated to the Zhuo family. In addition, Tsing Hui himself was also allocated a palace. In the palace, there were subordinates, servants, and maids. There were probably no less than 100 people. This showed how much importance Nalan Fei attached to Tsing Hui. Other than this palace, Nalan Fei had also set aside another palace for the other members of the Life League to stay in. Each of these palaces was quite spacious, and each palace could easily accommodate 300 to 500 people. The people Tsing Hui had brought with him this time were all cultivators who had no conflict with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. There weren't many of them, only about 200 people, enough for one palace. Not long after Tsing Hui entered the palace he lived in, a guard came to report, Hall Master, Miss Yunqing is outside seeking an audience. Oh. Tsing Hui nodded, let her in. The only person he paid attention to in the Zhuo family was Zhuo Yunqing. As for the rest, he didn't want to have too much interaction with them, so he didn't visit the Zhuo family's palace when he came to Qinglan Peak. Brother, you're finally here. Soon, a joyful voice came from outside the door. Tsing Hui glanced back and happened to see Zhuo Yunqing, who had grown a lot compared to a few years ago. Seeing Zhuo Yunqing, Tsing Hui couldn't help but think of when he first came to this world. In order to help him, Zhuo Yunqing had fought Zhuo Fengyun and the others. Although she didn't seem to have helped much at that time, Tsing Hui could clearly feel her feelings for him. I'm here. I was busy overseas and didn't have time to see you, but now that things have come to an end, and I've become the Hall Master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect Sea Calming Hall. In the future, I can go back and forth to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect all year round. That's great. This way, our family can see each other more often. A heartfelt smile appeared on Zhuo Yinqing's face. Tsing Hui's gaze couldn't help but fall on the people behind Zhuo Yinqing. Tsing Hui wasn't familiar with the others, but he recognized the leader at a glance. Zhuo Shuri. Beside Zhuo Shuri was a middle-aged woman who looked quite similar to Zhuo Yinqing. At this moment, Zhuo Shuri's gaze towards Qing Su was rather mixed. On the other hand, the middle-aged woman's eyes were filled with love. Qing Su, it's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Don't go away again. Our family is reunited, and we can live happily every day. From the way she spoke, it wasn't difficult for Tsing Hui to guess that the middle-aged woman was the mother of Cho Tsing Hui's body. What does a woman like you know? Tsing Hui is now a man of great importance. It is said that he has been conferred the position of Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall by the respected sect master. He works for his aunt Nailan Fei, a figure more respected than the elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. It's rare that the sect master trusts him so much, so he naturally has to be cautious and conscientious to complete the tasks given by the sect master. Only then can he live up to the sect master's expectations. Zhuo Shuri reprimanded the middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman hurriedly corrected herself. Yes, the sect master's task is more important. Tsing Hui looked at the two, not knowing how to respond. He was indebted to Cho Tsing Hui's body and reincarnated, so he couldn't really turn a blind eye to his parents. After hesitating for a moment, he could only say, I will try to return to Qinglan Peak as often as possible in the future. Tsing Hui, don't listen to your mother's nonsense. What does she know? You have to prioritize the task given by the sect master. To be able to enter the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and be valued by the respected sect master is the blessing of our Zhuo family. A few years ago, we didn't even dare to dream that you would have such achievements. Therefore, you must never relax or be careless. Once the sect master gives you a task, you must put in 120% of your effort to complete it. Zhuo Shuri said with good intentions. But it was clear that he didn't know what the relationship between Tsing Hui and the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was. In his mind, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's true disciples all stood at the pinnacle, and the elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect were existences that he could only hope to reach. Even though he had lived in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect for several years, his mentality still hadn't changed. Now that Tsing Hui had been entrusted with an important task by the sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and had become the deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Hall, this was a great kindness. He naturally hoped that Tsing Hui could conscientiously complete the task given by the sect master and continue to stand out and bring glory to his ancestors. I understand, I will handle the matters of the Sea Calming Hall properly. Tsing Hui said. Qing Su, you need to think about yourself when you're not working for the sect master anymore. You're not young anymore, and you're the only male in your father's lineage. Moreover, you can be said to have made a name for yourself now, so shouldn't you consider getting married and having children to continue your lineage? Otherwise, if you don't have a successor in the future, wouldn't it benefit others? Do you have a girl you like now? I'll ask your aunt to speak for you. She's now an important person in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. If she comes forward, even the princesses of the kingdoms will be able to speak for you. Although the middle-aged woman was a little timid under Zhuo Shuri's reprimand, when it came to arranging a marriage for her son, she summoned the courage of a mother and took advantage of the fact that Tsing Hui, Zhuo Yunqing and Zhuo Shuri were all present to speak of this matter. However, Tsing Hui really didn't know how to respond to these words. His current status far exceeded the understanding of Zhuo Shuri and his wife, so much so that even the conversation between the two was no longer on the same level. Brother, I feel that you really need to consider this matter carefully. Father only has one son, and our bloodline is now only passed down to a single person. Although you have a great reputation outside, you have to take this matter to heart and settle it as soon as possible. Zhui Yunqing chimed in when he heard his mother mention this matter. Yunqing, you should understand that the lifespan of a cultivator can't be judged by ordinary people's standards. It's not difficult for one to cultivate qi and live to 100 years old. When one reaches the spirit-qi unification stage, one can precisely control the release of one's essence, qi and spirit, and can live up to 200 or 300 years. Marriage isn't urgent for the time being. You can't be in a hurry. You're now successful and proud of yourself, so this is the best time to find a suitable woman. Otherwise, when you're older and your energy isn't as good as before, you may not be able to find a satisfactory person. Moreover, don't those large clans and great forces pay particular attention to strong alliances? Now that you're a big shot, shouldn't you find a girl with some power to form an alliance with you? This way, your future development will be smoother, and you may even become a true hall master in the future. Don't you think so, old master? The middle-aged woman turned her gaze to Zhuoshuri, looking for reinforcements. Marriage isn't something that can't be considered. Why don't you talk to Nalan and ask her to help you contact the daughter of a great figure? With Tsing Hui's current status, it's time for him to find a hallmaster's daughter. Tsing Hui felt his entire body tremble when the middle-aged woman called him Su-er, and he felt extremely uncomfortable. When he heard Zhuoshuri's support, he hurriedly stopped her. I have my own plans for this matter. Moreover, I already have someone in my heart, so you two don't have to worry about it. Before Tsing Hui could finish, the middle-aged woman immediately asked with a face full of joy, You have someone in your heart? Who is it? Where is she from? How old is she? What does she look like? Can she bear children? Is she well matched in terms of social status? Strictly speaking, our Zhuo family isn't considered a top-notch family. Everything we have today is all thanks to your aunt's support and your own hard work. Thus, we don't have any prejudice against family backgrounds. We won't force you to marry a woman from a powerful family either. The most important thing is that you like her. As long as you quickly bring her here for us to take a look, marry her if you're satisfied, and have a child to pass down the Zhuo family's bloodline, we'll be satisfied. Tsing Hui was confused by the middle-aged woman's barrage of questions. He felt that talking to these two people was even more difficult than fighting with Creation Sect's Supreme Elder Xuanyangzi. However, he was indebted to Cho Tsing Hui's body, so he couldn't just turn around and leave. Under the middle-aged woman's barrage of questions, the figures of several women appeared in his mind. Senior Sister Jiangningji, whom he had a promise to rely on Earth, and Sword Master Bai Heng, who was so powerful that he was stunned when he was weak, even, Nalan Fei, and even the Jin Wu religion saintess Lai Wuyang flashed past his mind. This had nothing to do with love. At the end of the day, there were only a few women who left a deep impression in Tsing Hui's heart. Other than these few, the rest were basically his subordinates who followed his orders. Under the middle-aged woman's barrage of questions, the figures that appeared in his mind were naturally these four women. Chapter 246. Who is it, and when will you bring her home for your parents to see? That's right. Brother, I can't wait to see who it is. Since you already have someone in mind, you should indeed bring her over. Who is she? Where is she from? Zhuoshuri, his wife, and Zhui Yunqing took turns to bombard him with questions. Of the four figures that flashed through Tsing Hui's mind, Nalan Fei was the first to be eliminated. If he said Nalan Fei's name, not only would it be against common sense, Nalan Fei would also not cooperate with him to fool Zhuoshuri and the others. The only remaining person was Sword Master Bai Heng, who was high and mighty, and Jiangningji. She was on Earth. The only one left that could be used to fool Zhuoshuri and his wife was Lai Wuyang. Lai Wuyang was the saintess of the Jin Wu religion and had a venerated status. Given Zhuo Shuri and the others' experience, they would naturally understand that the Zhuo family could not afford to associate with such a person. Even if they did continue to ask, Xing Hui would only find it troublesome. Lai Wuyang was the only one of the 4 women that he could use against her. If they really had no choice but to meet, he could use her weakness to force her to cooperate. If she dared to disobey, he could directly capture her from the Jin Wu religion. She would have no choice but to cooperate. At most, he would have to spend more effort on the 5th and 6th levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow art. Of course, this was the worst choice and could only be regarded as his last resort. In any case, Xing Hui had already steeled his heart and would not easily meet Zhuo Shuri and his wife in the future. He did not have time to think about the various changes that might occur and directly said, "The woman I like is the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, Lai Wuyang. Although I have some status now, compared to the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, I am far inferior. Therefore, I need to concentrate on the many matters sect master has given me. Only when I make great contributions time and time again and my status reaches the level of my Hunyuan Heaven Sect's deputy sect master will I have the qualifications to meet Lai Wuyang. The Jin Wu religion saintess Lai Wuyang. The Jin Wu religion is a huge force on the same level as our Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The Jin Wu religion saintess is the same as our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Lord Jiesu. They are both being groomed as future sect master. This, if Xing Hui's goal is to become the Jin Wu religion saintess, then you really need to work hard and make contributions. Just as Xing Hui had guessed, Zhuo Shuri and his wife's imposing manner rapidly diminished, and a trace of worry appeared on their faces. No wonder Big Brother has never returned home all these years and wholeheartedly devoted himself to his career. It's because my future sister-in-law has such an amazing status. Big Brother, I believe that you will be able to take her down one day. Zhuo Yunqing immediately spoke words of encouragement. Although Zhuo Shuri and his wife wanted to persuade Xing Hui not to set his sights so high, after hearing Zhuo Yunqing's words, Xing Hui had worked hard all these years to raise his status to the point where he could propose marriage to the Jin Wu religion saintess Lai Wuyang. It could be seen that Xing Hui was deeply in love with Lai Wuyang. Zhuo Shuri did not want to discourage his son and only said, "Hard work pays off. Xing Hui, I believe that you will one day succeed in fulfilling your wish." Yes, yes, yes. Our family's Su-er is not inferior to any young elite in the world. Xing Hui breathed a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He immediately changed the topic and directed the fire onto Zhuo Yunqing. "Yunqing, you also need to pay more attention to your marriage. If you were in the cloud desolate city, you would have already started to have children at your age. My occasionally is my aunt. Now that my aunt is not married, how can I talk about this matter in advance? Brother, if you really want to talk about this matter, you should first convince my aunt. When my aunt is married, it won't be too late for me to look for my Mr. Right." Zhuo Yunqing was very shrewd. She directly used Nailan Fei as her shield. Moreover, with her words, the conversation had reached a point where there was nothing to talk about. Fortunately, at this time, a guard suddenly came in and cupped his hands. "Sir, the Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master, Lord Wen Hui, accompanied by the Guest Hall Master, Lin Yuan, has come to pay a visit." Wen Hui. When Xing Hui thought of Wen Hui, he immediately realized that he had a sword jade on him. The current him had already gathered the Spirit Essence Core and Dragon Whisker Root. He was only lacking a sword jade to refine the roaming dragon blood transformation powder. He immediately said impatiently, "Quickly, invite them in." With that, he turned to Zhuo Shuri and the others. "Honored guests have arrived. I have to excuse myself. Yunqing, accompany the 2 elders to walk around. Brother, you have guests. Go quickly. The Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master and the Guest Hall Master are both important figures." Zhuo Yunqing hurriedly said. Zhuo Shuri also nodded. The Vice Sect Master was an important figure, even more important than the Hall Master, not to mention Xing Hui, the vice hall master. Naturally, they would not stop him. After Xing Hui left, Zhui Yunqing said with some envy, "Brother has really become an important figure now. The woman he fancies is the saintess of the Jin Wu religion. Now, even the Green Lotus Sword sect's vice sect master has come to pay him a visit." Zhuo Shuri and his wife nodded in agreement. Originally, they thought that there was a huge gap between Xing Hui and the saintess of the Jin Wu religion. However, the arrival of Wen Hui, the Green Lotus Sword sect's vice sect master, gave them a glimmer of hope. Since the vice sect master of the 10 great sacred sects was on good terms with her son, then marrying the saintess of the Jin Wu religion was not impossible. At that moment, Madame Zhua had an idea. "Master, why don't you talk to Sister Nalan and see if she has a way to matchmake Xing Hui and the saintess of the Jin Wu religion? So that Xing Hui won't suffer from the torment of lovesickness day and night. If this can be done, our Zhua family will really have a meteoric rise and have the foundation to become a top family." Zhuo Shuri hesitated for a moment and finally nodded vigorously. "Then I'll talk to Sister Nalan. However, I'm not sure if it can be done. Just give it a try. Our ability is limited, and we can only do our best." Zhui Yunqing quickly echoed. Auntie Nalan is not only a true disciple of a peak master, but also the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Her status is only one step lower than our Hunyuan Heaven sect's vice sect master. With Auntie Nalan acting as a matchmaker, this matter is very promising. Let's go find Auntie Nalan." Vice Sect Master 1, Hall Master Lin Yuan, "Sorry to keep you waiting." When Xing Hui came to the reception hall, Wen Hui and Lin Yuan were already sitting quietly, and the servants had already prepared tea and snacks. "I'm here to visit Temple Master Qing Su in my personal capacity and to congratulate the establishment of the Sea Calming Hall and Qinglan Peak. I'm not here for any other sect matters, so Temple Master Qilin can rest assured," Wen Hui said to Lin Yuan when he saw Qing Su arrive. His voice was rather helpless. Lin Yuan just smiled and cast his gaze on Xing Hui. "Hall Master Xing Hui, even if Vice Sect Master 1 is not here on behalf of the Green Lotus Sword sect, he is still the most distinguished guest of our Hunyuan Heaven sect. I will have to trouble you to entertain him during this period. The sect will bear all the expenses. Hall Master Lin Yuan, don't worry. I will definitely satisfy Vice Sect Master 1. Xing Hui nodded to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not stay any longer and bid farewell to Wen Hui before turning to leave. After Lin Yuan left, Wen Hui said regretfully, "The Hunyuan Heaven sect is really a little stingy. Alliance Master Xing Hui brought more than half of the Life Moon Alliance to join the Hunyuan Heaven sect, but the Hunyuan Heaven sect only gave him the position of Vice Hall Master. If Alliance Master Xing Hui is willing to bring the Life Moon Alliance to join our Green Lotus Sword sect, as long as he can prove that he has no disloyalty to our Green Lotus Sword sect, there will be a place for Alliance Master Xing Hui among the Grand Elders of our Green Lotus Sword sect." Grand Elders were the core of a sect and had the right to participate in all matters of the sect. Vice Sect Master 1 is too kind, but my main purpose of joining the Hunyuan Heaven sect this time is to strengthen the reputation of my senior sister Nalan. Joining the Hunyuan Heaven sect as a Vice Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall is just a convenient way to gain an identity. I believe Sect Master Zhuo of the Hunyuan Heaven sect also understands this. Wen Hui nodded. He was only inviting Xing Hui out of courtesy. The position of the sect's Grand Elder was decided by a Vice Sect Master like him. If Alliance Master Xing Hui still needs to find people to strengthen the reputation of Qinglan Peak, I know a lot of friends, such as Vice Sect Master Luo of the Jin Wu religion, Shakyamuni Yan Xian, Hall Master Wu Heng of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Hall Master Xiongzhan and others. There's no need, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Qinglan Peak's current reputation is enough. With the Life Moon Alliance protecting Qinglan Peak, who among the many Peak Master disciples in the Hunyuan Heaven sect can stand shoulder to shoulder with Qinglan Peak? Xing Hui smiled and waved his hand, dismissing the guard. Then, he went straight to the point. I don't know if Vice Sect Master Wen has brought the sword jade that I asked you to collect. How can I not take the task that Alliance Master Xing Hui has entrusted to me? Wen Hui smiled and took out a piece of white jade that exuded a biting cold aura. Alliance Master Xing Hui, please take a look. Xing Hui took the sword jade and looked at it. He nodded with satisfaction. This is the sword jade. After that, he took out a lower level 6 armor and a lower level 6 divine weapon. Vice Sect Master Wen, please take a look. Of course I trust Alliance Master Xing Hui. Wen Hui took the 2 divine weapons with a smile on his face. Although he said he trusted Zhou Donghuang, he still divided a part of his qi into the armor and divine weapon. When he confirmed that the armor and armor were both level 6, the smile on his face widened. In the future, our 2 sides should get closer and exchange what we need. Of course, if there is any business in the future, I will definitely look for Vice Sect Master Wen first. Xing Hui said with satisfaction. I am now the Vice Palace Master of the Suppressing Sea Palace, and can be regarded as half the Master of Qinlan Peak. Let me show Vice Sect Master Wen around. I will follow Alliance Master Xing Hui's arrangement. Chapter 247. Li Hua Hall. In front of an alchemy furnace located in a side hall, Zhu Ri, dressed in a fiery red robe, was staring at the alchemy furnace. He had been refining this batch of flower saint pills for 3 whole months. During this period, he had failed no less than 100 times. Every time he was about to succeed, he would fail for various reasons, causing his patience to become worse and worse. If it wasn't for the fact that this batch of elixirs was related to whether he could pass the sex assessment and become a rank 5 alchemist, he would have already thrown the flower saint elixir's recipe to a corner and never touched this kind of elixir again. Huff. After a long time, a burning smell came out from the alchemy furnace. Zhu, who had high hopes for this furnace of pills, was suddenly filled with disappointment and regret. He had no choice but to summon his attendants to clean up the alchemy room. He planned to go out for a breath of fresh air and relieve the depression in his heart. Elder Zhu Ri, have you finished refining the pill? You came just in time. Elder Zhu Ri had only walked around in his courtyard for a short while when a voice sounded. Immediately afterward, he saw the Lihua Hall's deputy hall master, Yun Xing, and the operation hall's deputy hall master, Lei Jing, walking towards the courtyard. Although the Lihua Hall was the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's alchemy hall, there were 5 or 6 similar alchemy halls in the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Coupled with the alchemy hall's palace, the Lihua Hall's position in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was inferior to the operation hall, which was in charge of personnel. Therefore, when he saw the deputy hall master of the operation hall, Elder Zhu Ri hurriedly restrained the depression in his heart and quickly stepped forward to salute. Greetings, Hall Master Lei, Hall Master Yun Xing. Zhu Ri, during this period of time, you have been focusing on refining the flower saint pill. Aren't you a little too eager for success? Sometimes, refining pills is like comprehending divine arts. It requires 90% effort and 10% inspiration. In the past 3 months, we have seen the effort you have put in, but the hundreds of failures have proved that you are still lacking in the road to becoming a Tier 5 alchemist. What you lack is that inspiration. Therefore, there is no need to be too stubborn and put all your energy into refining pills. Sometimes, you can go out for a walk and do other things, such as refining some ordinary pills. Maybe that inspiration will come, and let you burst out the spark of inspiration to become a Tier 5 alchemist. Yun Xing said with a smile. Thank you for your teachings, Hall Master. I will remember it. Elder Zhu replied respectfully with a bow. Although he could be awe-inspiring in front of ordinary disciples because of his status as an elder, he didn't dare to be arrogant in front of Yun Xing, a hall master whose alchemy skills had reached the upper 5th level and whose cultivation base had reached the late stage of the Green Hell realm. It just so happens that the Circulation Hall Master is here to send you to the Sea Calming Palace so that you can assist the Hall Master in refining some level 3 and level 4 pills. Refining these pills may not help your alchemy skills much, but if you continue to refine them, you might be able to catch a spark of inspiration and become a level 5 alchemist. When that time comes, there will definitely be a place for you in the Chamber of Commerce that my Fiery Palace opens. Sea Calming Palace. Jury had been studying the refining of the Flower Saint pill for the past few months to break through the bottleneck to become a level 5 alchemist. Therefore, he didn't know much about the outside world. When he heard Elder Yun Xing mention it, he couldn't help but wonder, our Hunyuan Heaven sect has more than 140 palaces of various sizes. In the large palaces, there are more than a dozen deputy hall masters under the hall master. As for the small palaces, they are just empty shells. Although there are many palaces, I remember all of them in my heart without exception, but I have never heard of a Sea Calming Palace. It's reasonable that you haven't heard of the Sea Calming Palace since you've been studying alchemy. The Sea Calming Palace is a newly established palace by our sect master a month ago. It specializes in overseas affairs. Although the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace, Nalan Fei, is only a peak master disciple, her deputy Hall Master is extraordinary. At this time, the Sea Calming Palace has several Green Hell Realm experts and dozens of Spirit and Chi Unity experts. As for the hidden strength, it can be doubled. In our Hunyuan Heaven sect, the strength of the Sea Calming Palace can be ranked in the top 10. The Hall Master is actually Nalan Fei. Nalan Fei established a mountain and became a peak master disciple. Elder Jury's expression changed slightly. That's right. Hall Master Lei Jing smiled slightly. Although the matter between Elder Jury and Nalan Fei had caused quite a stir, other than the people in the circle like them, no one else paid much attention to it. Even Elder Jury's immediate superior, the Master of the Falling Star Palace, did not inquire about it. After all, compared to the Li Fire Palace's deputy palace master, the people he interacted with on a daily basis were all elders of the Spirit and Chi Unison realm or deputy palace masters of the Green Hell realm. At that time, Nalan Fei was only at the True Energy realm and was not worthy of his attention. It was precisely because he did not know the inside story that Elder Yun Xing agreed to Lei Jing's request for Deputy Palace Master Lei Jing's transfer without hesitation. Wait a minute. The Sea Calming Palace is in charge of overseas affairs. Moreover, there are already several Green Hell Realm experts and dozens of Spirit and Chi Unity experts. Could the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace be the Alliance Master of the Overseas Life Moon League, Cho Tsinghui? Lei Jing looked at Elder Jury and said with a smile, Elder Jury actually knows Hall Master Tsinghui. That's great. No wonder Hall Master Tsinghui asked me to transfer you to the Sea Calming Palace. The procedures have just been completed. Elder Jury, you can follow Hall Master Tsinghui to the Sea Calming Palace whenever you're ready. Cho Tsinghui, Elder Jury's face was filled with bitterness when he heard Lei Jing's words. He hurriedly said, Hall Master, can I not go to the Sea Calming Palace? Yun Xing looked at Elder Jury and said with a frown, You're the person that Hall Master Cho Tsinghui personally asked for. There's something you probably don't know. Hall Master Tsinghui has already subdued one of the two overlords of the Overseas Life Moon League, Lord Jinhai. The other overlord, the Blood Wirm King, was also killed by him. Currently, almost all of the Overseas Life Moon League's islands are in his hands except for a few inappropriate islands. His current power is most likely second only to the Supreme Elders. What? The Blood Wirm King was killed by him? Didn't the Blood Wirm King fight with our Hunyuan Heaven Sect Supreme Elder back then and didn't fall into a disadvantageous position for more than 10 breaths? Later on, he even managed to escape unscathed from the pursuit of that Grand Elder. How did Zhuo Qingshu manage to kill such a person? Jury was both shocked and frightened when he heard this. It was precisely because he felt that Tsing Hui's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds and had become extremely powerful that he tried to break through to the fifth stage of alchemy. As long as he became a fifth-stage alchemist, his status was bound to climb to a whole new level. At that time, it would be much easier to deal with Tsing Hui. But he never thought that after more than 3 months, when he was still far from advancing to the fifth stage of alchemy, Tsing Hui would be strong enough to kill the Blood Wirm King. Moreover, he was recruited by the Hunyuan Heaven sect and given the identity of a deputy hall master. The Sea Calming Palace killed the Blood Wirm King. This matter made several supreme elders and even an ancestor in our sect very happy. They rewarded the Sea Calming Palace's hall master, Nalan Fei. It is said that she was even given a drop of Azure Luan blood essence. But everyone knows that although the credit for killing the Blood Wirm King was given by the Sea Calming Palace, and the credit belongs to the Sea Calming Palace's hall master, Nalan Fei, in reality, the real person who killed the Blood Wirm King is the deputy hall master, Cho Tsing Hui. You must not neglect such a great person with a boundless future. Hall master. Elder Zhuri looked at Yun Xing and hesitated for a moment before he finally said, I have some conflicts with Hall Master Tsing Hui. I'm afraid that when the time comes, Yun Xing's expression changed slightly when he heard Elder Zhuri's words. At this moment, he finally understood why Elder Zhuri was so hesitant when he learned that the deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Palace was Tsing Hui. He immediately frowned and didn't know how to respond for a moment. On the other hand, Hall Master Lei Jing of the Operation Hall came to a sudden realization. He also felt that it was strange why Hall Master Tsing Hui would specially request Elder Zhuri to be transferred to the Sea Calming Palace. Thinking of the powerful strength possessed by the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace and the terrifying potential power of the Life Alliance behind him, Lei Jing swept a glance at Zhuri, who hadn't broken through to the fifth stage of alchemy for a long time, and immediately came to a decision. Isn't it simple to have conflicts? Can't we take advantage of this opportunity to work under Hall Master Tsing Hui to resolve it? Do you know what kind of person Hall Master Tsing Hui is? If he continues to be loyal to our Hunyuan Heaven sect and makes some great contributions, he will have a high chance of entering the Supreme Elder Council in the future. Don't tell me that you, a fourth-stage alchemist, plan to fight to the death with Hall Master Tsing Hui? The words, Supreme Elder Council, clearly carried a lot of weight. The Falling Star Hall Master, who was still considering whether to protect Elder Zhuri, thought of Tsing Hui's enormous potential and promptly said, Hall Master Lei Jing is right. You and Hall Master Tsing Hui had conflicts in the past. Now that both of you belong to the upper echelons of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, wouldn't you be a laughingstock if you still harp on the grudges of the past? Just as Deputy Hall Master Lei Jing said, take advantage of the fact that Hall Master Tsing Hui intends to borrow you to work under him. Apologize and seek forgiveness from Hall Master Tsing Hui. Then, work hard under Hall Master Tsing Hui, and perhaps you will be able to bury the hatchet. If Hall Master helps me, Cho Tsing Hui will definitely not let this matter go so easily. Hall Master, please allow me to continue to stay in the distant fire hall and refine pills for you. Elder Zhuri immediately pleaded. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. I believe that if you express enough apology, Hall Master Tsing Hui will definitely let you go. Don't tell me that a little elder like you needs Hall Master Tsing Hui to personally come and resolve the grudges with you. Lei Jing, who was at the side, said indifferently. Falling Star also nodded. The weight of a Hall Master with a boundless future was obviously not something an elder with almost exhausted potential could compare to. Hall Master Lei Jing is right. Moreover, I have already given your file to Hall Master Lei Jing. Hall Master Lei Jing should have already sent it to the Operation Hall, right? Perhaps you are already a member of the Suppressing Sea Hall. That's right, that's right. I've already sent someone to deliver your file to the Sea Suppressing Hall. If you really don't want to stay in the Sea Suppressing Hall, you'll have to speak to Hall Master Narang and Hall Master Qin Su. Lei Jing immediately echoed. Elder Zhuri immediately felt a chill run down his spine when he heard the two hall masters abandoning him to curry favor with Tsing Hui. Elder Zhuri, generally speaking, you have to contact your superior in less than a month to report to your superior. Don't forget that our Hunyuan Heaven sect will punish those who don't follow the sect rules differently. If the hall master doesn't pursue the matter, you will only be fined 10 years of salary. If the hall master wants to pursue the matter, you will be treated as a traitor of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Therefore, it's best that you report to Hall Master Tsing Hui as soon as possible within a month. After Lei Jing finished speaking, he cupped his hands towards Yunxing and said, "Since I've finished my task, I won't stay any longer. I'll take my leave first. Hall Master Lei, if you have time, please visit our Li Fire Hall. If you have any extremely talented seedlings in the Tao of Alchemy, please take care of our Li Fire Hall and distribute them to our Li Fire Hall." Of course, of course. Chapter 248. Hall Master, you can't let me be seconded to Cho Tsing Hui. Please save me, Hall Master. After Hall Master Lei Jing left, Elder Zhuri could no longer care about his face as an elder and hurriedly begged the master of the Falling Star Palace. "Zhuri, I've already said that it's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. The grudge between you and Hall Master Tsing Hui must be resolved one day. Even if I can protect you now, I can't protect you forever. With Hall Master Tsing Hui's future potential, as long as he doesn't do anything harmful to our Hunyuan Heaven sect's interests, he will one day enter the Grand Elder Council. At that time, who can protect you? Therefore, listen to my advice. Go find Hall Master Tsing Hui, give him a gift, and reconcile with Hall Master Tsing Hui. Only then can you safely continue to serve under Hall Master Tsing Hui. That's all I have to say. As for whether you can listen to me, it's up to you." After Elder Yunxing finished speaking, he no longer spoke to Elder Zhuri. He turned around and left Elder Zhuri's courtyard, leaving Elder Zhuri alone in a state of panic. After a long while, he seemed to realize something. The culprit of this matter wasn't him, but Erasure Yudo. He immediately furiously roared at the door, men, where did everyone go?" "Elder," not long after, a true Qi realm deacon looked at the furious Elder Zhuri with fear and trepidation. "May I know what instructions Elder has for me? Where's Erasure Yudo? Where did Erasure Yudo go? That bitch, immediately capture her." "This, senior sister Erasure Yudo should be at the Chongguang Peak at this time," the deacon carefully replied. Chongguang Peak. When Elder Zhuri heard this name, he seemed to have thought of something. His face immediately turned pale. "How long has it been since that bitch came back?" "It should have been almost a month. She's been at Chongguang Peak for the past month. Furthermore, there are rumors that she's about to hold a wedding with Lord Bei Chonghua." When Elder Zhuri heard this name, he immediately gnashed his teeth. Bitch. Bitch. That bitch. Now that you have a new backer, you actually cast me aside. Damn it, you deserve to die 1,000 times over. If it was just a spirit refining true disciple, Bei Zhonghua, it wouldn't be enough to make Elder Zhuri so angry and unwilling. However, Bei Zhonghua's elder brother was someone he couldn't afford to offend. Even ordinary grand elders wouldn't want to offend such a big shot. That was Bei Zhongguan, the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Bei Zhongguan. If Jia Su hadn't appeared, Bei Zhongguan would have definitely taken over the sect master's position in a few decades. Even if Jia Su had broken through to the Qingming stage and displayed unprecedented cultivation potential, it wasn't completely certain that he would take over the sect master's position. Bei Zhongguang's potential still gave him the qualifications to challenge the sect master's position. Damn it. If I could hand over this bitch to appease Hall Master Tsing Hui's anger and compensate him with a large sum of money, there would still be a glimmer of hope. But now, Elder Zhuri was so anxious that his hair turned white. Think of a way, think of a way. I must think of a way as soon as possible. Otherwise, if I fall into Cho Tsing Hui's hands, only death will await me. No, it might even be more miserable than death. While Elder Juri was panicking because of Tsing Hui's words, Erisher Yudo sat in the courtyard's little garden on Chongguan Peak with a worried look on her face. At this moment, a handsome man in white clothes walked over from behind her. His gaze paused on Erisher Yudo for a moment, and when he saw her worried look, he immediately said with pity, "Yutong, are you still worried about the matter of the sea-suppressing palace's hall master?" "Brother Chonghua," Erisher Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua with the same gentle look in her eyes, "I really don't want to make things difficult for you and Brother Chonghua because of the sea-suppressing palace's hall master. How about I just go to the sea-suppressing palace's hall master and apologize to him?" Back then, when the sea-suppressing palace's hall master was in the cloud-desolate city, he relied on his identity as the eldest son of the Zhuo family's patriarch to bully me several times. I thought of all sorts of ways to hypocritically compromise with him and barely managed to keep my chastity. If I really beg for forgiveness and give myself to him, he might not continue to pursue the matter. Yutong. What are you talking about? Before Erisher Yudo could finish speaking, she was sternly interrupted by Bei Chonghua. "Although I, Bei Chonghua, am not some great person, I'm not someone who can't even protect my own woman. When encountering a problem, I have to make my woman beg for mercy. Don't worry, although the sea-suppressing palace's deputy hall master has some status and ability, our Bei family is not to be trifled with. I'll go find my brother. My brother is the Hunyuan Heaven sect's first deputy sect master and the person closest to the sect master's throne. As long as my brother is willing to speak up, even if you give Cho Tsing Hui 100 guts, he won't dare to find trouble with you." Erisher Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua with a pitiful look, "But, won't this be too troublesome for Big Brother? Big Brother is the Hunyuan Heaven sect's first deputy sect master, and there's a strong competitor like Jie Su. If there's a new problem because of the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace, I'm afraid. You also said that the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace is just a small deputy hall master. Given my brother's status, he may not even pay attention to him. Those who chat and laugh with my brother are often hall masters or even grand elders. What does a deputy hall master count for? My brother and I have a very deep relationship. If I really speak up and plead with him, he definitely won't refuse." Bei Chonghua said righteously. "I think, forget it. I'll go beg the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace for mercy," Erisher Yudo said with a sorrowful look. "I know the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace very well. He has been sinister and cunning since he was young, and he will definitely seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Even if Big Brother is willing to come forward and take responsibility for this matter, he will definitely not let it go. At most, he will reconcile on the surface, but he will definitely do all kinds of little tricks to deal with Big Brother. This will definitely bring Big Brother endless trouble, he dares." A cold light flashed in Bei Chonghua's eyes. "I asked my brother to resolve this grudge with him as the deputy sect master, which is giving him face. If he still dares to deal with us, Big Brother and I will let him understand the true power of a deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Then I'm relieved." Erisher Yudo breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Bei Chonghua had finally expressed his stance. What Bei Chonghua didn't notice was that when he said that he would deal with Cho Tsing Hui, Erisher Yudo's eyes flashed viciously. Qinglan Peak. Tsing Hui was in a good mood after obtaining the formula for the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. The roaming dragon blood dissipation powder was different from ordinary medicinal pills. It could only be regarded as a prescription. As long as one followed the appropriate steps and matched enough auxiliary herbs, it could be refined. The difficulty of obtaining the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder was lower than the difficulty of obtaining the Zhulong fortune pill. After returning to Qinglan Peak, Tsing Hui immediately asked people to prepare the medicine furnace and other things. After a torturous process, it took him half a day to successfully refine the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. Looking at the blood-red medicine in his hand, Xing Hui had a faint smile on his face. The roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. With this medicine, I can already try to separate a drop of the Zhulong blood and begin to refine it. However, for safety's sake, and to avoid wastage, I will wait until I reach the small success stage of the qi into virtual qi before proceeding. After all, a portion of the Zhulong blood is only 10 drops, and the more I waste, the less there will be. Xing Hui thought to himself and could not wait to once again devote his energy to the cultivation of the qi into virtual qi into virtual qi. Some time ago, the painstaking meditation had already given him a new understanding of the qi into virtual qi, but for some reason, he was always a little short, causing him to be unable to truly understand the qi into virtual qi and push it to the small success stage. He glanced at his character model. There were still 30 days before the level of chaos would be upgraded again. In these 30 days, if he still could not upgrade the qi into virtual qi to the small success stage, then he could only upgrade his comprehension to the 6th level. The effect of comprehension was the best at the moment when it reached the 6th level. All kinds of inspiration would burst out in the mind, and relying on that flash of inspiration, he would be able to smoothly improve the qi into virtual qi. However, there was still some time before this matter, so he would not mention it for the time being. Xing Hui ended his cultivation and left the cultivation room. As soon as he came out of the cultivation room, a guard immediately came forward to respectfully salute. Palace Master, Senior Sister Nalan sent a message to invite Palace Master Xing Hui to the study when you are free. She has something to discuss with you. Oh. A day had already passed since Qing Su refined the roaming dragon powder of blood transformation and studied the method to convert true qi into illusions. The founding peak meeting was right before him, so when he heard Nalan Fei summon him, he did not waste any more time and directly made his way to Nalan Fei's study. Xing Hui, you're here. Please take a seat. Is it about the summit assembly? The preparations for the founding peak assembly are almost done. Besides, with you, the leader of the Life Alliance, and Wen Hui, the deputy leader of the Green Lotus Sword sect, the scale of the founding peak assembly is so high that more than 90% of the peak masters have set up a peak. There's no need to make it a big deal. The main purpose of the summit assembly is to publicize your power and the potential behind you so that others won't dare to act rashly. It will also pave the way for you to compete for the deputy sect master position in the future. There is no harm in holding a special event. Nalan Fei shook her head and hesitated for a moment before saying, Xing Hui, I invited you here for 2 things. The first is an invitation from our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's deputy sect master Bei Chongguang. He is holding a banquet in the Hunyuan Heaven Pavilion and wants to invite you over. The time will be tomorrow night. Bei Chongguang. The first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Why is he inviting me over? He didn't say. He probably values your Life League's potential and wants to recruit you. Bei Chongguang has great influence in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, so I suggest you go. Nalan Fei changed her words again. Of course, if you have something to do and don't feel the need to go, that's fine too. Xing Hui didn't take Bei Chongguang to heart. So what if he was the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? He had lived overseas for a long time and was far away. Even the Hunyuan Heaven sect master, Zhuo Kunlun, might not be able to control him, let alone Bei Chongguang. However, considering that Nalan Fei had been staying in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and needed some allies, and Bei Chongguang was obviously a strong ally to her, he nodded slightly. I will go tomorrow. Okay. A smile appeared on Nalan Fei's face, and she seemed to be in a much better mood. However, when she thought of the second matter, she suddenly felt a headache. What's wrong? Nalan Fei hesitated for a long time before she slowly asked, Xing Hui, I heard from Yunqing that you and the Jin Wu religion saintess, Lai Wuyang, are in love with each other and seem to have deep feelings for her, is that true? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.